Hello, welcome aboard. It's the 8th round of the Ethias Cross Series. We are in Hulst in the Netherlands today for the final race in this series. No general classification to battle for here in the Ethias Cross, but what a series it has been. So many different causes. It has brought us some of the most exciting races of the year. Let's remind ourselves of the last round in Maldegem. They have it. What a great race. Always a good one post-World Championships. You saw that crash there as well that involved Yara Kastelein and Shirin van Anrooy. Kastelein fractures in the vertebrae in her back. She has battled back to defend her positions in the general classifications in the DVV and the Super Prestige. And I just saw a tweet from Yara saying that unfortunately she's had to sort of bow to doctor's orders and decide to finish her season earlier. So I'm sure you will join me in wishing Yara all the best for her recovery, and I'm sure we'll see her back and fighting fit for next season. Now, one rider who does love this course here in Hulst is ex-Spurs's Anna Kay, and I took the opportunity to catch up with her in the week. Anna, thanks for joining us. We're into Hulst as a commentator. It's one of my favourite ones to commentate. What's it like in there as a rider? Take us through the course?
Yeah, it is a really cool course. I rode it for the first time last year, but it's quite epic. Like really quite steep banks, really twisty, really good for spectating. There's this really long, really steep uphill bank that you have to run up, and there's quite a few bridges as well. So yeah, it should be really fun. Although the weather looks like it might be a bit stormy, so I don't know what that'll do to the course.
And it's your last race of the season. How do you feel about this winter? Has it exceeded expectation?
Yeah, massively. I didn't really imagine having a season like this, so it's been pretty special. So I'm just excited to finish it well.
Well, we wish you all the best. We've loved watching you really out there and smashing it this season, and we wish you all the best for the last race.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Anna Kay there, I'm sure you've all enjoyed watching her so far this season. If you've been with us on GCN Racing for the last 2 years, remember those first races where we saw Anna, then part of Story Racing, just starting to creep into the top 10 in our first season of cyclocross here on GCN Racing, and has come on in a massive leaps. So we'll see what she has in store today. 10th place here last year. Now, don't panic, Jeremy Powers is with me as always. And Jeremy, this race here in Hulst, it's quite a new one. As commentators, we love it. And post-race last year, a lot of the riders were saying that they felt this was the sort of future of cyclocross in a way, this sort of course.
Yeah, well, good morning, Marty from the USA. It's nice to be with you again. As always, this one was really fun to call last year. Just these huge drops, very steep embankments, huge long run-ups, giving that old school Swiss style of cyclocross, bringing that back and making it super fun for all of us spectating to see the riders having to get off and really do these longer things. It's definitely one of those crosses at the end of the season that I'm sure the riders are excited by, but also thinking their legs are tired. So it's going to be interesting to see who we get here at the front today. But I'm excited, as always, to be here calling this one.
Yeah, it's very windy over here in Hulst as well. Here in the UK, we've got Storm Dennis. I think this one's cool. We've had two big ones, and it's very, very windy over in Hulst as well. So they've just had a tree down quite close to the course, and it's Jeremy. The wind's pretty strong, but the kind of play you were telling me before, just play it as it lies.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, in golf, if it ends up in the sandbar or ends up down by the beach, you just play it how it lies. So we're just gonna leave that there. This definitely tips the hat to Tom Mayusin, Marty, as a potential winner of this race if they leave that in.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure he could clear that. He's
Yeah.
pretty good at his bunny hops. You can see there the wind. It's 55 to 57 kilometers southwesterly winds, gusts of up to 80 kilometers an hour. So they've decided to go with it. We were watching again the social media post to see whether what decisions they were going to take on that one. Jeremy, let's have a look at the riders who are in action today, and a lot of the riders looking to just finish their season with a flurry. We've got Yara Castelline in there. We've said she's not starting today. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Marie Hulst, arguably riders of two of the big riders of the season. Marion Norbert Ribeiro, for me, don't know what you think, maybe just looking a little bit tired post-World, showed that she really peaked for that under-23 title.
Definitely, definitely. It's super young, so there's a lot going on there. Then you've got Sharon Van Anrooy, who's been really coming on and just doing a great job, continuing to race even after she's won that junior world title. So be exciting to see what she can do out here today. Alicia Maria Arzoufi, Manon Bakker, Denise Betsema, Sana Khan, Inge van der Heijden, Gert Hoka, Yara Castelline not with us today, but best to her. Anna Kay, who we just heard from, be excited to see how she comes in. Ava Lechner, who had a great ride the other day, so maybe she's opened up and ready to go. Becca Faringer, who's here from the USA, great to see her, and then Alicia Frank.
Yeah, Rebecca Faringer, she was sort of getting ready. She was saying she was ready for this one. She was hoping it wasn't going to be cancel it. So we've just been told that the storm has kind of taken out our feed a little bit. So these are the issues of on these sort of days when it's super blustery like this. But we did have some racing earlier on. I'll see if Sid's got some pictures of Thibaut Nice out there on a course. And Jeremy, this gives us a great demonstration of what the course here in Hulst through the windmill at the top of the hill. But Thibaut looking absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, and he's using those new tires that have that reinforced like latex double sidewall, so they're going to be a stiffer tire. So the riders, I've said in the past, like to use these tires when there's a really fast course with a lot of off cambers. A stiffer tire tends to be a little bit nicer feeling. They're not, not everyone likes them, but for me, when I was riding, I always rode on the red sidewalls or the green sidewalls that FMB produced, and so I really enjoyed having that stiffer sidewall. It looks like Thibaut today for this course also decided, hey, I'm going to be using those tires. So he's on a tear. He's definitely following in his dad's footsteps. Junior world champ. Got to be really cool to be able to be mentored and have your dad be one of the greatest cyclocross racers of all time.
You've got to say, though, for Thibaut, big respect to him because, we've seen it with generations throughout the sport of riders that have come through. And Thibaut's dad, I mean, Sven, a legend of the sport, and he looks as a junior, as a teenager. That's a huge amount of pressure to be able to soak up and deal with, isn't it?
I think it is, but having gone to all the races with his dad over the years, I mean, there's pictures that some of the people have been twittering out and putting on social media, of how young he was when he first was on his cross bike riding around. I think that he's been at these races, he's been in the limelight, whether he wanted to be or not, through his parents and through his dad's success. So he definitely is no stranger to the attention from the media. It seemed, when we did our game of bike, and it was at the World Cups earlier this year in Iowa. This is before he was world champion. We're going back now almost 5 months here. He was still great, head on his shoulders, very chill, and I think that he definitely has all of the parts to be a great professional bike rider, whether that's in cyclocross or road or Roubaix. I think his dad will have a lot to teach, just like every rider that's done it at a high level does. There's so many things that you learn from doing it that you're able to pass those on in a completely different way than even if you're coaching someone. It takes years, but the thing with Thibaut and Sven is that they've had already 17 years to be able to do that. So it's going to be really fun to watch him and his rise through the ranks into the elites coming up.
Yeah, definitely. I think we can have a look at the winners of the Ethias races so far. it was kind of launched the season all the way back in Eclo. We're into our penultimate weekend of racing here, but Mount Captains kicked off the season, promised so much in Eclo. It's kind of as good as it got for her this season. Merla Beaker, we had Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Anna Marie Quirst really has made this series her own. It's great preparation. Croy Beaker, Beringen, Marianne Vos in Essen. Then we went over to Bradener, Sana Kant, and in Maldeham, Anna Marie took that one. And Mau, in particular, Jeremy, she came into the season absolutely storming, and she really looked like the Mount Captains of a couple of seasons ago, but it didn't because she didn't quite manage to hold that sort of form that she had when she came into the season.
It is not it's not unheard of that a rider has a hard time coming through. As the years go on, they get older, and the younger riders, just once they come into form, it's like with the younger riders come into form, it goes. When an older rider has to work themselves into form, that's sort of their level. At least that was the experience that I've had, and my friends that have gotten older and aged into the sport. Once you get there as an older rider, that's you're there, but it takes a lot longer to get there. And so you have to look at your training differently. You have to switch so many things up. I completely reinvented myself in my last couple of years of racing. You just have to. You have to constantly be evolving, staying with the times, doing different stuff, and trying to stay at your best. It takes longer to recover. It takes more time to get to be at your best level of fitness. So hats off to her taking any wins in this day and age right now against the riders that the level's never been higher.
Yeah, definitely. Let's have a look at the course. We've got a course map that we can have a look at just to give you an idea of what we have here. So a little nice little overlay of the course. Bit of a bridge there. And then, as we said, we go into some quite steep banks over the top of that windmill there. So it's quite a course for quite a versatile rider today.
Definitely. A lot of left-hand turns, which you don't see often. You usually see them go the opposite direction, at least in my mind anyhow. But it's so cool that they get to go around that iconic windmill, making this race one of the most unique ones. Here we go. We've got the Dutch with their beers, ready to pull this tree out of the way to make it happen for today's race. No, a little chainsaw. That's what I like to see. The little bit of that seems so North American. How should I say that, to have a chainsaw out there? I remember when Simon Richardson first came over for the year, I asked him if every household in the UK had a chainsaw, and he said that was not true. That was not true. And I'm not even joking. I have my chainsaw only a foot from me right now.
We love your man cave. It's definitely one of the most famous man caves in the world. Is your man cave? Yeah, we're afraid of power tools like that in the UK. Me definitely in particular. Yeah, I love the resourcefulness of this one though, and it is that safety first element, isn't there, as well? That the fact that you've got to be aware on a course like this. With cyclocross, we are in essence in the woods.
Yes, for sure we are. And they've had some pretty bad storms over the last couple of weeks, at least. I mean, but this isn't the first time this has happened. If you remember, a couple of years ago, I flew over with my team and my teammates, Ellen Noble, at that time, and we went to Coxida, and we flew all the way over there. We got all of our stuff, got in the hotel, pre-rode the course, and that was about the most Coxida we saw that year because, unfortunately, from the wind, it picked up one of the VIP tents, slammed it onto the course, destroyed in like the entire VIP tent, knocked down a tree, and for the Belgian crew, that was more than enough. They were not taking any risks. I think that was the year that they looked at the insurance and they called it good because they were worried that someone was going to get seriously injured. And yeah, I can't tell you how that feels as a rider. You're sitting there wondering, what did we just do? We just flew across the world. We've been here for 10 days, acclimated, got into the hotel. Everybody's here, mechanics, bikes, food is bought, and then you don't do the dance. You go home and you're just wondering what you just have done. So for a rider, it's always really hard when these changes or when things happen that change how the races are normally done because it's so structured. But as like anything, some days you get in traffic on the way to work and some days you don't. You can't always plan for this.
No, and that was the day I think we saw Wout van Aert doing figure of eights in the sand, and then Mathieu van der Poel rode home. It's also the day, if you didn't see it as well, have a look on the internet, because last week with the storms we had the Dutch Headwind Championships last week.
Which,
So
yeah, which were that, but it was too strong. I heard that it was too strong. There was too much wind for the Headwind Championships, which seems a little ironic. But what are you gonna do?
yeah.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, and I guess if the good news that we got out of Coxside being canceled was that we got to watch Wout van Aert do figure eights on his Instagram, and then we also at that same time, I don't know if you remember this, but Mathieu van der Poel, and his brother David van der Poel rode back to their house in Antwerp. So I think the thing that I was most bummed about is that neither of them invited us to go with them. Like, didn't get invited to go do the figure eights, didn't get invited to ride like 250 kilometers back to their house. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, honestly. So spread
Yeah,
that. Just to let you know, I know you're all on the chat. I know you're all waiting. Bear with us. We're the race. They're just clearing the tree. So there's a lot going on. If you've got any questions pre-race, post them on the chat, and I'll do my best to we'll have a little chat going into the race today. And in terms of this one though, Jeremy, the Ethias series, it always wonders sometimes as looking on as fans and looking on from the outside, when a series doesn't carry a general classification like this, this series, it doesn't seem it doesn't seem to detract at all from the series as it goes on. There's still a huge amount of prestige around these different rounds.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think series or no series, good races are good races, Marty. It doesn't really matter if the race is well, it does matter when the races are part of a series. I'm not trying to say that, but I am trying to say that I think good events will always be good events. You know, if you go to this race, whether Heijden in the Netherlands was part of the World Cup or part of nothing, Heijden would be a fantastic race. It needs to be part of a series for the way that the sport is structured, but it would be an incredible venue, an iconic venue with tons of history and great support from the fans alike. So I think that these series and the collection of races that have come together to create entertainment for us to be able to work within, and for organizations to be able to help promote these riders, is very, very important for the structure of the sport. But good events and good races, I think, really can hold their own. As we see there, Rebecca Feringer, Anna Marie Worst, Inge van der Heijden, Emily Werner there, a couple Anna K coming through. So everybody down there warming up, getting ready for today's windy affair.
Yeah, you can see it's fairly blustery. Is a bit of an understatement. It's blowing a hoolie, as we would say in Scotland.
I like that.
It's always a good description of a day like this. It's definitely battering the course. I can kind of look at this, seeing the kind of out the corner of my eye in the bottom of my monitor that there's lots of interviews from the host broadcaster with various people around the course. We've just had Bart Vellens on there as well. But I caught up with Anna Kay, and Jeremy and I, we're just putting together a cyclocross review show. So keep an eye out for that on GCN Racing as well. So make sure that's why, as well as we say when we call you to subscribe, if you subscribe and hit that bell icon, we'll just take the different series apart, and we'll just have a little bit of a chat about them. And I caught up with Anna just to get a little bit more of an overview of her season. Jeremy, as I said when we kind of came on air, the last couple of seasons, and Anna Kay in particular has been a rider when we saw her starting to break into those top tens, but the rise again, along with this sort of generational shift that we're definitely seeing over the course of the last couple of seasons, her rise has been meteoric. She's really pushing it, isn't she? Especially as one of the sort of front level elite riders that's bunny hopping those planks, as one particular thing.
That's right. Yeah, she's got a great head on her shoulders, and she's always been pushing up and trying to raise the level. I think when I was able to see her at the Koppenberg, at Ruddervoorde this year, when I was over there, and meet her over the years a couple times, she's such a young, small, new rider. She's just, when you see her on TV, you don't think anything of it, but she is not very big. So for her to get that little machine over the planks and over the barriers, it's really, it actually means more than if you see someone like Van der Poel do it. Van der Poel's such a big bike, huge machine, big person on that machine doing that. But Anna Kay really pushing that level up. And I think that, when you look at the riders that have come up before her, when you look at someone like Helen Wyman, when you look at Nikki Braumeyer, these riders that have come up before and they've kind of flown the flag for the United Kingdom or for the United States, whether it's Katy, Compton. There's just so many, you can draw a lot of parallels. You have to start somewhere. You have to start to climb that ladder and really get yourself going. It's not it doesn't happen overnight. Nothing does in life, does it? But I think that she's been making a great progression and really staying in the front of the races, even throughout. I think that for me or for any rider to be able to have a consistent year where you're always in the mix, that is actually something that has a lot of value.
Yeah, definitely. Shirin Van Anrooy, another rider that we're big fans of. I think at 17, to already be knocking on the door, already taking podiums, the historic for her, the first ever junior women's world champion. I mean, for her now going into Telenet Bauer's Lions, I think to be able to get that experience, not only from Sven, nice, but also getting to pre-ride with the likes of Thibaut and Ellen Van Looy is a phenomenal mentor as well in that team, isn't she?
Absolutely. When I first started up, I had some great mentors. I was able to come through. I know that each of these teams, have great managers. We got to spend the day with Bart Wellens this year and just have a look into his life and what goes into the 777 women's squad and the things that he's able to bring to that team with experience, knowledge, and everything else that he did throughout his career. He brings that experience to them. So that helps someone like Anna Marie Wurst and Yara Kasterlein and Alice Maria Arzoufi able to make great decisions about what equipment choices they might make or how the course is changing or what type of skin suit they'll wear. Do I wear one with a thermal or do I wear one, because there's so many things that go into it, like, hey, there's a really cold puddle on the backside of the course that you guys haven't seen yet. There's this line that's developed through the sand pit that's on the opposite side that I saw in the other race while you were warming up. The course has now got it's spitting and there's spitting rain, and now I think it's a different type of tire or your tire pressure is too hard. There's so many things that these managers are able to bring to them and to give them another level, which raises someone like Shirin Van Anrooy up, because they're able to take all of that knowledge and amass an experience that really cuts down the time to learning. A lot of people have said, like, I like to let things go pear-shaped so that they so that I can learn from those mistakes. But what's even better than letting things go pear-shaped is actually being able to just have a direct line straight to the goalpost.
Now, just in case you're wondering, and Jeremy and I are just chatting away as we can for hours and hours and hours all the time. The race has been delayed by 15 minutes just to clear the tree that's gone down and other bits and pieces around the course. So we're not just chatting on and we haven't missed the start. I've got it down in the bottom of my screen. I can see that they're getting called to the start line now. Before we go down to start line pictures, don't forget, subscribe to GCN Racing. That all helps us. I know you're asking how you can keep more live cyclocross here on the channel, so hit that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything. Hit that bell icon as well so that you're notified every time that we go live. And really important on our live broadcast as well, give us a thumbs up. That always helps as well. I know we're kind of getting used to this as digital viewers, but giving those thumbs up and all that kind of things, it all helps with all those background algorithms and all that kind of stuff. So give us a subscribe, give us a thumbs up, keep spreading the word, hit that bell icon so that you won't miss the review show that we're putting together. We're down on the start line. Thanks for your company. Get involved over on the chat. Let us know where you're watching us in the world today. Your world champion, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Alice Maria Arzoufi right behind her. There's Shirin Van Anrooy on the start in her rainbow jersey. And you can see, are they gonna? She's got another jersey underneath there. For me, I know I bore everyone to tears with this thing, but as commentators, we know the difference between Celine Delcam and Alvarado, Marion Norbert Ribeirol, and Shirin Van Anrooy. There's got to be a way, as they're all racing together, to be able to celebrate those rainbow jerseys. And yeah, you can throw something at you, at the telly and your computer, because I keep going on, and I'm going to check in with Katarina Nash to see how she's getting on with my request on that one. So we'll do that. But yeah, there's Anna-Marie Hulst just alongside Celine Delcam and Alvarado. Alicia Frank behind her from Experza. Great to see Alicia back and getting back to something. Definitely back to her best. She's had a win this season, which definitely is good to see. She had some health problems last winter. Good chat here on the start line between those two big rivals. And there's the
great Marty to see kind of the sportswomanship of Anna-Marie Worst and Celine Delcam and Alvarado. I think that relationship is so unique that those two are able to continue to have a friendship when they go head to head, and there's so much animosity in the races, and in that kill, the desire to win is there, yet they're able to just have that friendship and smile and have a lap before they go and do battle together today.
I've just had a message from Cameron Mason from Trinity, and Cameron's just saying, course very dry, super rough and very windy, so it'll be a hard race. Lots of grip, gonna need to send it down the banks, and it's blowing a hooey, as Cameron would say. Let's hear from Celine.
Vergelijk is de omstandigheden toen en nu.
Ja, ik heb toen niet op het parcours gereden, dus ik weet niet zeg maar hoe dat te vergelijken is. Ik weet wel dat daar heel veel wind stond, nu ook, maar het is op zich wel gewoon prima te doen. En alleen als je bovenop de dijken rijdt, dat je echt zeg maar op het hoogste punt bent, dan voel je het wel, omdat het heel open is, maar over het algemeen valt het goed mee.
Stuur goed vasthouden, dat is de boodschap.
Ja, want ik ben net ook al bijna omgewaaid, dus ja.
Ze lachten tijdens...
Just to, you might be getting a double audio on this one. You might be getting the Dutch commentary in the background. Such a big personality, Celine Delcam and Alvarado. You saw her warming up with her brother. Eva Lechner there, Italian champion. It's could be a good course for Eva Lechner today, as Anna-Marie from 777 gets rid of that jacket. Alice in the background. Alice seems to me, Jeremy, to have been struggling with her starts in the second half of the season.
Yeah, once you get one bad one, it's easy to kind of let that play. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm not doing well with my starts, or this isn't going well, or that's not going well. So here you're seeing the Belgian national champion Sanne Cant, former world champion Inge van der Heijden, Ellen van Looy there with the number 24. Then we've got Anna Kay coming in, giving a smile to us, probably saying thanks to you, Marty. And then we've got Rebecca Feringer. She probably knows that she's been on the GCN live stream earlier today, so she was psyched to hear that. That's what I think that smile was for, because you've got a lot of fans out there, as we saw yesterday.
There's a video. I made Getty images. There's in terms of the sign. I've got to find out who those lovely people are. They definitely made it. And Marty Saves Cross t-shirts and mugs are also in production. I'd like to point that out.
That's how it should be. I love it.
We're getting ready for the start. Thanks for bearing with us. Welcome aboard here on GCN Racing. It's the final race here for the Ethias Cross from Hulst. Inge van Heijden, Sanne Cant, Celine Delcam and Alvarado. The Dutch riders will be looking to try and do it. We are off and racing. Look to see Rebecca Faringer from Kona on the outside, trying to get a good start. Marion Norbert Ribeirol in that French national champions jersey kicks it up on the outside, but it's Eva Lechner that gets the whole shot through the first corner, leading out here from Inge van der Heijden. Ellen van Looy, as Anna Kay just moves up on the outside. Kay looking to try and get a good start. We know from her interview you before that Annika likes this course. It's one that suits her. So the Italian champion leading out. Hulst, Vestingcross, Norbert Ribeiro, all up there towards the front, leading out here on the opening lap. Just bear with us in terms of the ambient sound, where Sid's just trying to get us a clean feed. So that's why there's no audio from the race. So just bear with us on that one. Ava, good start here, Jeremy.
Absolutely. Very good start for her today. Like I said, I think as you get older, Marty, I think that second day becomes the prize purse. You know that you're opened up. You know you're ready to go. You've got the first day out of your legs. So, you know, she's going to have clearly having a good start. Yesterday had a really good finish as well. So riding strong all season long, but definitely great to see Ava Lechner up there, a rider that we always enjoy watching race. So there's a lot of grass out here today, Marty. It's still green, but like Annika said, the weather has just changed everything. I think a lot of these riders, you can see the trees are blowing, which has caused the delay today. There's definitely a lot of probably curious riders out there to see what has happened to this track in the last hour that I haven't been there. Is there so much wind that it knocks me off in a crosswind section or something? So there's a lot going on here that the riders are checking out. But Annika with a great start. Inge van der Heijden right behind her. Ellen van Looy, then the world champion Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Marie Worst right behind her.
So the riders just off dismounting on that section, and just on the chat. Thanks for getting on board. Thanks for good to see all of you having a good chat over on the forum. Just to point out, Joseph Gochman, British only know one language. I'm learning Dutch at the moment, and I can definitely speak Italian, and I can get by in French. That cuts me deep. That does. We're definitely doing our best in terms of that one. Just bear with us on the ambient sound. It's Ava Lechner leading out from Annika, Inge van der Heijden, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, Anna Marie Hulst, Alicia Frank. So Expers are very much up towards the front, but it's the Italian champion kicking it over that bridge and into this bank section. So the Expers rider here in second wheel. I know a lot of you on GCN Racing, big fans of Annika. Can she finish the season here with another podium potential on this one? We're leading out on the opening lap. Ava Lechner as well. Solid season for the Italian from Krefen Friestads. And also Inge van der Heijden looking strong at the back end of this season. There's Alicia Frank going through. Sana Kant, Marion Norbert Riverola is Sharon Van Anrooy. And then we've got the already a bit of a gap already back to Alicia Maria Arzufi. This is a better start today from Alicia. So good to see her getting up there. Joyce van der Beeken, former Belgian champion, going through just ahead of Karen Verheestraten. So if you're just getting on board, we were 15 minutes delayed on the start, so you haven't missed anything. So lap one as we head down the descent from the windmill on the top. Sharon Van Anrooy on the bottom. Let's have a little replay of that as Ava Lechner just kicks over the top and onto that descent.
It's such a fast descent, Marty, and those tires definitely are maybe not the right tool for the job. This seems like this would be a downhill mountain bike type scenario. It's so fast, but you can see that huge rut there that Anna Marie Worst just hit as they come into this run up. We also got to say Thibaut Nice running up this as well. One of the steepest ones that you see reminds me so much of old school Swiss cyclo-cross that we used to see when I first got into the sport. I got to taste a little bit of that at a race called Wetzikon, and this was a huge part of how the Swiss did cross. They would just run the course straight into a huge embankment, muddy, nasty thing, and then you'd have to get back on at the top. So great to see that coming back into the to the Dutch promoters and organizers, course designs.
Yeah, it's great. This front group, so you can see it's blustery. There's Celine Del Carmen Alvarado now through to the front, just hangs that right foot out there. They've taken you can see a lot of the advertising boards away from the course markers. Van der Heijden just dabbing that right foot through that section as Alvarado kicks on at the front. So if you weren't with us yesterday, broken shoe, couple of little errors that crept into the race for Alvarado yesterday. We're getting a replay Just on that section, rider going down there, a little bit further down there, just gets caught on the inside there. But the world champion pressing on at the front, just has already opened up a bit of an advantage. There's the chases coming from Annemarie Hulst and Eva Lechner, with Anna Kay not far away. Then a bit of a gap back now to the orange of Inge van der Heijden, with Ellen van Looy, Alicia Frank and Sana Kant. That is your order at this stage. Van Anrooy and Norbert Rieberolder, the junior world champion and the under-23 world champion, are still with them. Look at that banks. This is, as Jeremy said, this is great, this course, dropping down through that section, and they've got the big bank to run up as well. Ellen van Looy and Alicia Frank take a different line. So does Sana Kant. So 3 different lines that we've seen through that section from the whole front of the bunch here.
Definitely. Well, kudos to the organizers for putting that in, but that is a high stakes proposition. If you go down in that type of scenario, that's why the riders are taking so many different lines. They don't want to have any errors. You saw Sana Kant there. You see her down in the bottom of the screen, but when you saw her come through that section, she opted for all of the grass in that section. And I think that that's going to give them a little bit of extra grip. You definitely do not want to slide out on something like that. That's broken collarbone for sure if you go down on something that fast. When it looks that fast on television, it's even faster when you're doing it in person. So they take that momentum into that hillside there, where there's that ramp that then leads them back up to the top part of the course. Such a cool bowl-like experience where all these fans are getting a real treat to be able to see this, as you see the high-speed dismount, boom, 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 right back on, like clockwork, Annemarie Worst and Celine Dill, Carmen Alvarado. Then you've got Anna Kay there riding the barriers. Good job, Anna. That's great to see. And then Eva Lechner, Ellen van Looy, and the rest of the field. But this is turned out to be quite a quick affair here. Only 7 minutes in, with Alvarado taking the front, Marty.
It is indeed. So run you through your top 10. The order might shift and change through that little group there. But Alvarado and Hulst at the front, Lechner, Kay, Van der Heijden, Van Looy, Frank Kant, Van Anrooy and Norbert Rieberol. That is your top 10 here on the opening lap. Drama and all the way, and we're only on the first lap.
Absolutely, yeah. And Annemarie Worst takes over, closes down that little gap that Celine Del Carmen Alvarado had, able to power up there. Alvarado not able to make it, has to get off, and Annemarie Worst was able to ride that. We saw yesterday some similarities, a little bit of a loose front wheel. Oof, and unfortunately, Eva Lechner also not able to make it. It's one of those things that you commit to, but then if you're not able to make it, there's no real good footing or anything, as you see Norbert Rieberol there just using that momentum to come right into it. That's what I would recommend, not trying to stop in the middle of it. You lose so much speed when something like that happens, Marty. And those are the types of mistakes. 5 seconds there for Eva Lechner, unfortunately, is going to be lost, that she's going to have to make up to these front runners now.
You just saw Annemarie Hulst just having a little glance across there and seeing where the group are onto the home straight around that corner. So Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, you can see pulling the sleeves up. It's not cold today. There's Anna Kay coming around the corner. Powering on here is the British rider from Experza, trying to get up towards the front two. 8:28, 5 seconds back to Anna Kay. And then Inge van der Heijden goes through at 11 seconds, then 13 back to the next group. Anna Kay could get on here. I know a lot of you big fans of this rider here, the Alicia Maria Arzuffi from Italy. So good to see her getting up there. In terms of the temperature, 15 to 16 degrees Celsius today. That's 54 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit. There's a 49% chance of rain this afternoon. 57 kilometre an hour southwesterly winds, gusts of 80 kilometers an hour across the course. Brought a bit of a tree down earlier on. Good duo at the front. The riders that we've seen Toon battle throughout this season. Anna Kay from Experza trying to get back on this when Anna's chasing this at 5 seconds, Jeremy. This is where for her, those bunny hops through that sections, that's where Anna could pull back fractions of a second here.
Absolutely. And then, being a smaller rider, lower center of gravity, quick feet, all of those things are going to definitely play into her strength and her skill set. It's great to see. We're going to get a shot back. She can see where she's at. She's solidly in third place with Inge van der Heijden trying to come back to her, but she's having trouble there on that off camera, which has held up just about everybody in behind her. So now that's going to give Anna Kay an even bigger buffer to these front riders and to the chase that's behind. So there is a great opportunity that's presented itself here for her. 10 minutes, about 1/4 of the way into this race now, Marty. So she's just got to put her head down, see if she can take back a little bit more time, and then keep herself mentally moving forward. Is she able to look back on a 180 on the course and see that she's taking back a bike length or two each time and really whittle this gap down? We're going to find out.
We are indeed. There's your two leaders. Anna Kay went through just a few seconds off the bat. Can she gradually close this gap back up to these two? She's going to go through that little off-canvas section, up through there, onto the bridge, and then into this bank. Anna's just got to hope that these two just start to maybe pause and start to look at each other a little bit. She looks like she's lost a little bit of time through that section, but great climber is Anna Kay. So can she use these climbs through this section to try and get back up there? It'd be great to see the British rider get on to these two at the head of the race. And Annemarie Hulst, Jeremy, looking at the last few races, almost now she's got to have a little shift in tactics now in terms of dealing with Celine Del Carmen Alvarado.
I think Alvarado has so much momentum from having won the world title, Marty, that getting that wind out of her sails that's gonna be tough right now. I think that she's a rider that's super motivated to continue to represent that world champions jersey. That's what every rider that's a cyclocross racer looks forward to. That is the absolute top prize as a professional cyclist and cyclocrosser. So it is. I'm sure that momentum's not going to stop anytime soon, and she's riding high from that, and the pressure of the jersey has not fallen on her shoulders. She feels like it's really embodied and emboldened her to continue to do what she does best, which is race and try to win. So as you see Sanne Cant there coming through, the Belgian national champion, I think that Annemarie Worst looks at these every race as an opportunity. She's not a rider that is lacking any results. The overall World Cup winner, she's taken almost probably as many victories as Alvarado has this year. She's last year's European champion. She has a lot to hang her hat on as well. So I think that there's so many, there's just a lot of great battles to come between these two. And I hope that there's another rider or two that are able to get in this mix consistently week in and week out, that we're able to continue to put on these great races and these great shows that they have been.
So you can see the course technicians out, just being careful here, as you can imagine, they need to be on this course. If you haven't been with us for Ethias cross so far this winter, all the way back, we saw the winners. There's Lara Donschot just getting on. That's Denise Betzer, actually, that's just getting onto the back of there, number 7. Mount captains from Inge van der Heijden. Anna Kay was the opening round in Eeklo Molenbeek. Alvarado from Hulst and van der Heijden on to Kruijbeke, Hulst, Castellijn and Alvarado. But then we went to that great course in Beringen, Hulst from Hooker and Compton, on to Essen. And the shortest podium in terms of syllables and letters, Vos from Vas and K in Essens. Bredener was Kant, K and Faringer, Maldegem, Hulst, van der Heijden and Betsema. That was the top 3 on that occasion. If you're just joining us today, welcome aboard. Annemarie Hulst taking the last race in this series in Maldegem, and this is the final round in Hulst. Here is your 3rd place on the course is Anna Kay from Experza. As Alvarado goes left, Hulst goes right. Look at the difference in the lines through there, digging in there.
I think they might even be having a smile about that. Whoa, let's not get that close on that descent again. As you see Anna Kay here going for that long line, using that big swoop. What a beautiful course feature that is. They take all that momentum here into the climb, going right up onto this other side. Yes, that is the way to do it. Inge van der Heijden coming down as well, going around this little pond that they have here that brings them over to that windmill, Marty.
Does. It's great course design. Alicia Frank, you're just leading Ellen Van Looy through next. Annemarie Hulst now through to the front. That descent, great demonstration. You just saw the way Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, this kind of pushing, digging in, leaning left as Hulst took that right-hand line through there. But it's good to see a course with different choices of lines for the riders. If you think back to that race in Beringen up on the hill, Annemarie Hulst really showed her descending skills on that course. So our front two go run that section, and then behind we'll have a look back, see our third placed rider has been carrying good speed through that section. Just over 15 minutes of racing so far through the Toyota chicane. Anneke bunny hopping the planks as behind her. Inge van der Heijden off and running as Alicia Frank behind. Shirin van Anrooy, Marion Norbert Riberola, still the French champion up there, and then Ellen Van Looy. Such a stalwart of professional cyclocross is Ellen Van Looy. Such experience that she has, but it's still our duo at the head of the race. We'll see when they get round to the line just what the gap back to Anneke is behind. You can see the way this course is just swinging backwards and forwards between these two at the front, as they have done throughout this season. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado just starting to push up those sleeves, showing the temperature despite the windy conditions today. Just a little glance across the course there as the riders go one way and back down the other. Winners of this race in the past, just got a glimpse of Sana Kant there, taking it in 2017. Laura Vidange got in 2018. Last year, it's now been awarded to Annemarie Hulst after, of course, Denise Betsema stripped of that race last year. So Hulst now the winner last year. As Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, you can see pretty warm as they go through lap 2 of 5. We are on. So we go through 16:41 at the end of that lap. So 16:41, the gap looks like now it has grown back to Anneke. It was 5 seconds at the end of the last lap. It's now going out to about 20 seconds. We'll see what they round that up to. 22 seconds they're now giving us. And then Inge van der Heijden going through at 27. Shirin van Anrooy is leading the next group through, ahead of Norbert Riberola, Van Looy, Betsema, and then Frank going through next. Lap 3 of 5.
Yes, as you see here, Marty, the wind has not slowed down this front, but it may be there may be sections of this course where sitting on might actually be beneficial through the start finish there. As you see, that's Bart Wellens down in the corner, giving some smiles, definitely probably talking about everything that's gone on here. But I think if you're a rider, you want to be mindful of what's going on with the course, how it's changing, all that stuff. But also you want to try to play. If you're Annemarie Hulst, you want to try to be present. You want to make sure that Celine Del Carmen Alvarado knows that you're there, but I think that you also really want to try to pick your spots. You want to sit in as much as you can, and Alvarado is going to know that. These riders have studied each other. As you see now, they'll have a tailwind. You can see that flag blowing, so Annemarie Hulst not going to get any benefit from being behind here through this section, but when they were coming up that section, definitely going to have a bit. So now you can see she's getting a bit of a draft there by being there. So sitting on today definitely has it has a benefit, and I think playing it smart, if Inge van der Heijden's able to get up to Anneke and they're able to work together, could be a benefit for the chase group.
It's not something that, because a lot of the time, it's when we look at wind and we talk about the wind directions and things before cross races, it's not always a factor that plays in, is it? A lot of the time, riders they want that front, they want to lead from the front. Annemarie now through to the front and kicking on here. So yeah, it's not something that always we see riders really worrying about.
No, I mean, but it is definitely something on a race like today. There's a lot of sharp turns, quick stuff happening. But the truth is that if on a start-finish straight like that, you add that up over the race, that's maybe 4 or 5 minutes worth of riding that you didn't sit in the wind and put out an extra 50 watts to get through that section. So I think there is definitely a case to be made, as we see here. Anna Kay coming through in third place with Inge van der Heijden, trying to get through this section, this technical off-camber section. Sharon Van Andre behind her, Norbert Riberola behind her, and then it looks like Ellen Van Looy is just behind her, with Betsema just behind her. So there's a lot going on out there, a lot of little tactics. Anna-Marie Worst taking over at the front as these two go through this beautiful, iconic windmill here in Hulst.
There you go. That's such a great shot onto some of these steep descents that we get here. And thanks to all of you for getting on board. It's great to have all of your company, and great to see all your chat going on. As behind you see the arm pump there of Anna-Marie Worst. Again, we were chatting on this yesterday. Celine likes her dark glasses, but it's always good to be able to just see the focus and the eyes of a rider. I think that's what makes cross particularly special as well.
Absolutely, yeah. It's to each their own, isn't it? There's I'm sure that the world champion has clear lenses, but maybe doesn't like using them for who knows what reason. As you see there, the steepness of this climb takes Anna-Marie Worst down. There's all these little footholes in that big climb that the riders have kind of carved out from all running up it. As you see there, a little bit of a remix here on this one here. This is the new techno version of Celine Del Carmen Alvarado.
I was just about to say that we could do with a little DJ set going on there. We're getting a little stutter on this one. Yeah, apologies for that. Just in case you wanted to watch the remount here of Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, it's a good opportunity to talk about the remount there, Jeremy, for anyone that kind of drops on the bike like a bag of spanners.
Yeah, as you can see there, she drops it off of her right hand from that down two, puts her hand right back on that right shifter, and then hits that inside of her leg for a perfect remount. We're coming back here to the front there. They're trying to, a lot of technical difficulties here in this final race in Hulst, given the weather has just been so crazy. You can see the finish line there that they use the electronic mat with the magnets in it that the riders end up using ankle slips for, probably has also flown up because of the wind. So lots of things to go through here today. As you see there, Anna-Marie Worst on the front, her ponytail flapping in the wind. It's so windy out there with all of this that's going on. She's now in the front there through this little sand section, and you can see that just they're interviewing everyone to hear their opinion of what's going on out there today.
Yeah, it's definitely a windy day out there. If you weren't with us earlier, 57-kilometer-an-hour winds that they're having to deal with on the course. There's your third place rider, Anna Kay of Experza. She was 10th in this race last year when I caught up with her in the week. She loves this course here in Hulst. A big future ahead of her in cyclocross. She said in particular that she loves the races here in the Ethias series. And I think, Jeremy, I think what we've got to hope for is these changes that are coming in terms of the UCI World Cup. This is what, when you look at riders like Anna Kay, you look at Shirin van Anrooy and these young riders coming through, this is where these series are so important, isn't it? That they get to ride in front of big global TV audiences, big crowds, and this is what we've got to hope that doesn't suffer because of the changes to the World Cup calendar.
Yeah, that's just such a big deal that the UCI is now going to have so many World Cups. That is going to change. It is going to change the outcome and the outlook and how things go, but not maybe for the worst. They now have a series that does well, that attracts all the top talent, and now they've almost doubled the amount of races that are there. So yeah, Marty, it's one of those things. I can't predict the future. I don't know what will happen with so many World Cups next year, but like I said earlier, I think the best events will continue continue to be the best events, and they'll continue to do well. So regardless of if an event is part of one series or another, I think good events will attract the top talent, and they'll be able to continue on. So yeah, it is definitely changing times, but it is one of those things that is the reality of the times that we're living in.
They are indeed, and Anna Kay behind, and a lot of you super happy seeing her bunny up in the plank. Give Anna and her Exposer teammates, Anna and Alicia and Marion, as the same with Anna Marie and Celine. They're worth a follow on social media, particularly Instagram, that kind of thing, where they put their videos up. They're always out there popping wheelies and having fun out there. They're always great to follow. At the head of their race, though, Alvarado really kicking on here at this one, starting to put some little probing attacks in against Annemarie Hulst. I know I said it last week, but these two echoes of Van der Poel, Van Aert, the rivalry that's forming between Alvarado and Annemarie Hulst.
Absolutely, yeah, and these two really have taken a lot of the coverage of this last month of racing. They've just been going head to head, which is cool. I mean, think about a race, think about an event without Celine Del Carmen Alvarado or without Annemarie Hulst, and the way that race plays out versus the battles that we've been able to see from these two week in and week out all season long, as Alvarado looks down to check maybe her heart rate or to take a look at the time that she's got. But they're 25 minutes into this race, 2 laps to go. Marty, if we've been treated to some really great racing, but it's not to say that without them there wouldn't be, but with them it has made it such great races to call and to be a part of and watch.
Anna Kay might get Denise Betzemer for company shortly. Then you've got your 17-year-old junior world champion, Shirin Van Anrooy. We're loving, big fans of her here on GCN Racing. Marion Norbert Rieber all behind. She's in 6th at 28 seconds. Inge van der Heijden's just dropping back now to 8th. Maybe try the chase of Anna Kay, maybe put her into the red a little bit. Alicia Frank here as just goes through in 9th, so riding top 10 today. Then you've got Alicia Maria Azufi coming into your picture, just pressing on. Then you've got Manon Bakker in that plain black skin suit just coming around that corner. We hope that Manon gets picked up by a team for next year on lap 4 of 5 here. They're going to get the bell when they come around next time. If you're just joining us, welcome aboard. Annemarie Hulst, Celine Del Carmen, Alvarado. How many times have we said that this season? The two leaders, Anna Kay with Denise Betzemer closing down on her behind. You just saw Annemarie Hulst there, just having a little glance across just to see if anyone's getting close to these two riders at the front. Here, just taking a little glance back here as well to Celine. Don't forget, subscribe to GCN Racing. Give us a thumbs up on our live broadcast as well. That all helps. Hit that bell icon. Anna just checking across here. Shirin just steadily making her way back through the field. The Exposer rider here just in front of the Poel Sausen bingo rider behind her. So they're locked in a bit of a battle for that 3rd spot on the podium. Back up to Annemarie Hulst at the front, and the course of her season since the turn of the year alone. 3rd in Middelkerke yesterday, 2nd in Lille in the DVV, 1st at Maldegem, 2nd at the World Championships, 2nd in Hogerheide, 1st in Nome, 2nd in the National Championships, 2nd in Brussels, 3rd in the GP Sven Nys in Basel on January the 1st, and then back into the back end of the season. Jeremy, Annemarie at the front has not been has not been off the podium this season. That is an absolutely phenomenal record.
Yeah, it is. I think that's something. I remember yesterday in the interview, someone said something. I think it was Toon Aerts that had said he had been on the podium 29 times throughout the season. So, these riders that are doing these races week in and week out, they're able to really become a property. I mean, they've developed themselves so well. They have such great consistency to be able to show up to the races every week and really be something as we get that ambient noise coming back in. So there's there's just so much that's able to go into these riders and the way that they look at these races. It's not just about taking a ton of wins. It's about being consistent. It's about being out there right now. Someone like Anna Kay, this is a huge ride for Anna Kay to be able to show off that the Experza team at the front of this race here, only behind the two biggest riders in the sport right now, Anna Marie Worst and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. We saw down in the lower corner the team owner of Experza, Christelle Hedemans, was the woman who was down in the bottom right hand of the screen. She's going to be so happy to see this. Not just that Anna Kay was on the podium of the Under-23 World Championships, right? She's representing there, but also to be able to be a staple, to have this coverage here on GCN where she's doing these pre-race interviews, to be able to be sitting in a potential podium place here at the Ethias Cross. All of these things throughout the season, Marty, whether it's on the podium every weekend or in the coverage every weekend, that means something, and that's important and valuable for these teams.
It is indeed. Your order, Hulst and Alvarado, then Betsema, Kay, then a bit of a gap back to your chasing group with Shirin Van Anrooy at the front of that one. A little dab through that section as the riders just counterbalance their weight as they go across the cobbled bridge there on the course. Alvarado as well, the world champion. Her lowest place so far this season is 6th in the GP Adrie van der Poel in Heijden, but first in Middelkerke, first in Lille, won in the World Championships, national champion, won in Brussels. She won at Heijden and she won in the GP Sven Nys as well. So that's the order. There's a little close up there of Sana Kant, that heavy strapping on her left knee, the Eco Creelan rider on that descent, just chasing down Ava Lechner just ahead of her. This is quite a battle at the front of this one for Alvarado today. Took the victory yesterday, Jeremy, in the North Sea Cross, but battled back constantly from the issues, as we said earlier on. Had that broken shoe, had to change that one. I think for Anna Marie today, she's going to want to try and get away from her if she can.
Definitely, there's taking Celine Del Carmen Alvarado to the line has been they've got. I mean, let's say this. They've been very, very close, but I think Anna Marie Worst looks at this as this is the end of the season. There's definitely been a string of races here where Alvarado has been stronger, has been able to outride her in certain sections, been able to out sprint her in certain sections. So when you look at it, it's really, you just play it by you play it by race at that point. You never line up as a competitor thinking that there isn't an opportunity to win. She has to take those opportunities. But yesterday during the shoe fiasco that Alvarado had, Anna Marie Worst turned up the pace. Alvarado able to bring that gap back. So Alvarado is riding at a high level right now, based specifically on fitness, not even on technique. And she's able to really put Anna Marie Worst, into second position in almost any scenario in the last couple of weeks. But that doesn't mean that that's what's going forward. Anna Marie Worst here really has tried to pull out a jersey at the Dutch National Championships, unfortunately missed, at the European Championships missed. So Alvarado has really had, if you put them head to head, they've had identical seasons in return with regards to how they how many results they have, but with regards to how they timed it. Anna Marie Worst, I have to say, I think went a little bit earlier with her preparation and how she came into the season, and Alvarado went a little bit later. So two beautiful riders, beautiful seasons for these riders, and they've had 2 great years, but definitely different in terms of how they've structured, how they come into them, and how they finish them off.
Denise Betsema trying to close the gap back up to Anna Marie Worst and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado at the front. Just thanks for checking in over on Twitter, the Wessex Cyclocross League. Neil Ashton, thanks for saying hi. Tony Frobisher as well. Thanks all of you for getting on board. This rider here chasing behind. So Denise Betsema just loses some fractions of a second at the top of that bank. I think these two are going to probably want to turn up the heat a little bit on this one. They're going to come round and get the bell when they come round to the line this time. Lap 4 of 5. If you're just getting on board, welcome here on GCN Racing. We are on round 8 of the Ethias Cross Series in Hulst. And you've got your 2 Dutch riders at the front as they head on to the bricks, onto the straight here. It's going to be, if this comes down to a sprint, the way that you lead out, you're going to want to absolutely smash it through the grass there and come out of that corner first if this comes down for a sprint.
It looks like it's it could be a cross tail. I'd like to get a look at exactly what this sprint finish and the wind is doing there, because that will change things. As we see there, can't quite get a read on that yet, so I'll be looking for that in the coming laps, Marty. But definitely, no matter what, there is a little bit of some tactics that are going to come into here. I remember from last year's race, I believe the person that hit the pavement first had a better chance of winning. That was what it looked like when we watched it last year. It's hard to say. We saw such a great battle in the men's race last year with Pidcock and Mathieu van der Poel, but the sprint finish here, I'd have to say if I was Alvarado, I would want to leave this one out. But if I was Annemarie Worst, I'd absolutely want to put in a string of attacks and try to take it to the pavement first myself.
Yeah, there's Denise Betsema has got them in their sights, but they're going to be kicking on here. It's still a 8-second gap. It's a lot to close in one lap for the Poel rider. And just it's taking a while. You can see the little errors creeping in on these, particularly on the bank sections, the ebb and flow of the leading group here. You can see constantly when the cameras go back, just switches backwards and forwards between Celine Del Carmen and Alvarado at the front and Annemarie Worst. Alvarado definitely got the measure of Hulst in the last few races throughout the season, right up until the World Championships. You would have said that Annemarie Worst had the best sprint out of the two riders, but Alvarado has done a huge amount of work. You can see on her sprint coming into the back end of the season. And this Alpecin Fenix team, the great news that the Roodhoff brothers are putting together this road team that will contain these two riders, Alpecin Fenix. So it's going to be very, very exciting to see what that team can do on the road as well. So this team, lots of different sponsors. They just distribute the riders throughout the different teams. Just a few meters here. Annemarie kicking on at the front, just trying to force some small errors now from Alvarado behind onto the bridge and then the dismount onto the bank.
Absolutely. As you see, Betsema there able to take that off-camber section with ease. No problems there. No kicking along. So definitely has figured out the line through that section. As you see, Annemarie Worst here now testing out the legs, trying to get back into those pedals, seeing if she can do a little bit of damage to Alvarado and take back a little bit of this race, Marty.
Indeed, at the front, these two just kick. See if Betsema's gonna get close here. I don't think she is. I think it's just too much of a gap to close between these two. But Annemarie Worst now has the front as Alvarado now locks in onto the wheel. The Poel and Bingo rider riding in third place has passed Anna Kay for that third spot on the podium onto this descent. These two spectacular descenders. Worst just opening up just a couple of meters gap on that descent as Betsema bounces down through this section. Thanks all of you for bearing with us. As you know, the bit of a delay to the start as the conditions out there in Hulst testing the broadcaster, but they've done a phenomenal job bringing us great coverage today. Can either of these riders get clear on this final lap as they go into this big run up here?
You can just see all of the holes there. Annemarie Worst just getting through this last time with a small fall, but there you see Alvarado trying to push the pace, outrunning Annemarie Worst a little bit on that. Now you see Betsema trying to get up this thing. It is so steep. It doesn't even, you cannot imagine how steep this is as you see the videographer there getting us this shot right here as Betsema able to remount so quickly. And this is one of those sections, Marty, that really does change the outcome. It tests the riders immensely, and it really puts a lot of fatigue into their legs throughout the 5 laps that they have to do this. This is a 30-second run-up, just like that, just like the Zonhoven sandpit, where you see the riders having to really run for a long time. It's a different skill set than just coming off an off-camber or riding a power section. Being able to get off and then troop up that thing is really is super hard on the riders' legs over the course of the day, and definitely the course of the season as well. Then you get this steep embankment here, a lot of power output. Alvarado wants to lead through this last lap. She had to get off, where Annemarie Worst was able to just make it over over the top, but it was this one where Alvarado had to, yes, exactly. So Anna-Marie Worst, unfortunately, succumbing to Alvarado having to put a foot down. That's unfortunate for Anna-Marie Worst because she's going to need to claw that back, and that's going to tie into the final as Alvarado looks back over her shoulder and sees that little mistake has gapped off Anna-Marie Worst.
You just saw that little error. I was going to say that the minutest of errors could now decide this race here in Hulst. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado had a glance back over the shoulder. She saw that she'd gapped Anna-Marie Worst just a little bit onto this huge descent now. Worst has got to throw herself down here to try and close the gap back up to the world champion, and she's just about there. Alvarado has another look round. She sees that Worst has got back to her. Let's have a replay of this. Into the bank. Alvarado manages to just skip at the top. You just saw a little delay there for Anna-Marie as she just tried to find her feet. It's back it there together at the front. This is setting up beautifully for another thrilling finish between these two riders along this section. Not far from the finish. And Alvarado, it's swinging back. Great gap closing there by Anna-Marie Worst. Here's your third place rider, Denise Betsema.
You just saw Camille Vandenberg, the one of the team captains of the 777 squad, a former racer, someone that I raced with, giving Anna-Marie Worst some instruction there to just maybe stay on the back wheel. I'm not sure, but if I was in his position, I'd definitely be telling Anna-Marie Worst to stay patient right now as they come into this finish line. I would want to come off of, as I rethink this, I would want to be looking at an opportunity, Marty, to come off of Alvarado's wheel. Yesterday was a different scenario where they were racing in Middelkerke. If you haven't, that race is live worldwide, excluding the Belgium and the Netherlands. But it's you saw that Alvarado hit the pavement first, but it was a big tricky section just before the finish straight. So this one is a little bit different. Maybe want to come off of Alvarado's wheel here. Anna-Marie Worst knows how to play these sprints. These two have sprinted out so many times throughout the season, but you can see now that Alvarado's really pushing the pace, and Anna-Marie Worst tries to come past her. Marty?
They do. Selena answers the call at the front. Anna-Marie Worst tried the little attack there. Now she's got to think about this sprint. Yesterday, it was who could get their feet clipped in the quickest at the front as well. Now it comes down to a pound-for-pound power sprint between these two riders, and Worst is delayed. That could be the winning advantage for Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. As we always say, the minutest of errors can decide a cyclocross race at this level, and the world champion cleans that section. Worst is delayed, and Anna-Marie Worst has to try and close it back down, and you can see on her face Alvarado pushing the course tapes, bending the tape, as Jeremy always likes to say, and that little error there on that bank. Worst has got to kick it out there, but that is your race winning advantage onto the bricks as they exit the grass. Alvarado is going to win here. She zips up the skin suit. Anna-Marie is going to chase it all the way to the line, but Alvarado takes it from Anna-Marie Worst. A pat on the shoulder. Jeremy, sums up our beautiful little sport there, doesn't it? As Denise Betsema is going to ride in for a third spot on the podium. Just that minutest of error there on that bank.
That is, yeah, that's how the racing goes. You know, the pace got pushed up. Alvarado dug deep to be able to get through that, and then she was able to just gap up just a little bit. It's just one error. Once you make that error in cyclocross, that's when you have to pounce. The world champion knows that. She could hear behind her just probably a shout of frustration from Anna-Marie Worst, and then unfortunately, Alvarado's able to take that win without a sprint finish today. So we weren't able to sit there, but this is a great ride here from Anna Kay. She's going to be very happy with that fourth place finish at the end of a very long season. And here is her teammate, Norbert Riberola, able to come through and represent that French national champions jersey.
Yeah, Anna Kay, 10th last year, 4th this year. Shirin Van Anrooy, another great performance from the junior world champion, comes in to the finish there. She's on her world champion trek bike that they've tricked out for her. Ellen van Looy coming in next. And then there's a sprint between Inge van der Heijden and Alicia Frank. Van der Heijden just gets the better of Alicia Frank there, and then into your picture comes Manon Bakker. Manon has a glance back over the shoulder. Alice Maria Azufi hugging the barriers close here. Absolutely brutally windy conditions today, and Alice, I think Alice, after the races she's had so far this season, Eva Lechner, after that mistake early on, never really recovered from that one after leading out.
There you see just a little hug there from Betsema to the world champ. It's after they get there, Marty, they're in that back there. They have to take 5 to just recompose themselves. There's you're all of a sudden you're going super hard, and then you just boom, you just stop. It's super hard, as we see there. Sanakant coming through, finishing off today. Not a bad race, only maybe a minute or two off the finish. It looks like 2 minutes, 2 minutes down for someone that's got a big knee injury like that. That's no problem.
Let's see if we're getting the audio on Celine's interview. So we're not getting. I'm being told we're not getting the audio on the interview today. Unfortunately, but that's your winner, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Drama all the way. The wind really made that course even tougher out there today.
It was definitely it was one of those ones. And even in the commentary booth, there's no ambient noise, so you miss a little bit of that. So unfortunately, we apologize for that for anyone watching and tuning in. We can't control the weather. Mother Nature had it out for us today, and but it was a great race. Definitely good to see those two champions going at it here. Anna-Marie Worst has won several of these events already, Marty, but this is the last one of this Ethias cross. So now we have one last race here in the men's race. What do you think? What do you think about today's race?
I think it's going to be an interesting one today. In the men's race, Tom Pidcock's my tip today. I know he was posted on Twitter after his little I think he needed an ice pack after yesterday, but I think today, because thinking back to the men's race last year, he went kind of toe-to-toe with Mathieu van der Poel for a lot of the race. But
definitely,
yeah, it's that today though. And Jeremy, just talk us through. You must have been in that position in a race, in Anna-Marie's position when have you had a rivalry like that in your career where you're so closely matched, and then just that tiny little mistake, and that's what costs you the race.
Yeah, you always wonder what was possible. I had a lot of those great battles. Ryan Traban, Tim Johnson, over the years, Stephen Hyde, Curtis White, myself, we've had some great battles over the years. So I definitely know that feeling of trying to wait for that moment when you hear someone finally make a mistake. They started to ratchet that pace up in that last lap. You could feel that the intensity, that they were both really focused, trying to stay on top of each other, half-wheeling each other a little bit, trying to come past one another when Anna-Marie Worst tried to take over the front. She knew that section was coming up. She knew that was the moment of the race, but unfortunately conceded to Alvarado. Alvarado got it and then was able to clean both those sections. She heard, okay, Anna-Marie Worst has had a problem. Boom, race is over. Almost like clockwork. You wouldn't think it was a big deal, but a lot went into being able to have that be that way.
I'm absolutely loving the rivalry between those two. Let's have a look back at highlights of what was a fantastic elite women's race here in Hulst. Down on the start line, looking resplendent in her world champions jersey, Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. Eva Lechner right on the barriers, got a great start. And it was, as Jeremy said, left-hand turns, a lot of them, all the way. Eva Lechner there, it would be an error on the bank that where Eva Lechner went down that ultimately would kind of cost her her position at the front. Alvarado was quickly up to the front in this one, though, as Eva Lechner was with her at that point. Anna-Marie Worst, that was kind of Alvarado started to kick on. Worst got up to her quickly, though, didn't she?
She did. She did. She definitely didn't want to let the world champ go off on her own. There was no time to waste. So right in the first lap here, able to get to the front there and show the world champion, hey, I'm ready to come out today. Able to make that section there, Marty. Those sections are what I was talking about with those very, very difficult, steep embankments, take a lot of power output, take a lot of strength in the legs. So gym work essential for something like that. You see the iconic windmill there here in Hulst. Then it was Denise Betsema that was able to try to make a feature to the front group, but unable to make the selection today.
It is. It's a great course. It's a new course as well. It's a new race. It dates back to 2017, and it really is. And that's the moment where the race was won. You saw lap on lap. One lap you clear it. The next lap it comes around, and as a cross rider, each time you go around every section, and there you have it. The world champion. She knew that she had it won. Drops off the grass onto the home straight. Zips up the skin seat as she rides towards the line. Anna-Marie chasing her all the way to the line. What a way to finish what has been a phenomenal season for both of these riders. Denise Betsema riding in here for third, just managing to get past Anna Kate, who would finish fourth in that one. A lot of you asking when the men's race starts. At the moment, it starts on the hour. Remember, we had a delay because of the wind for the elite women's race, but the men's elite race starts on the hour, so just over, just over 10 to, it's about 11 minutes time. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back very, very soon.
3, 2, 1, up, 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 up. What is the best upgrade you can make to your bike? Now, some people would say making the transition from flat pedals to clipless.
Clipless is a confusing name because you do indeed ride clipped in, but the name comes from a time when toe clips and straps, the visible cage around your foot, were the pedal of choice. These new pedals didn't have a visible clip, so therefore were known as clipless.
Yeah, now anyone who rides clipless pedals will tell you they make you more efficient, they make you faster, and they allow you to have more control over your bike.
But can you actually put out more power with these pedals on? Will you go faster? Or do they even make any difference whatsoever?
Well, that's what we're going to find out. To do so, we're going to tackle one of the most incredible climbs in the world, twice. Maybe not the whole climb though. Once on the flat pedals and once with our normal clipless pedals. It sounds simple, and it would be, were it not for the fact that the full climb is cyclo-cross in Mallorca, 9.5 kilometers in length at an average gradient of 7%. So instead of that, we're going to reduce it to just 3 kilometers near the top. Again, the average gradient is over 7%.
If you want to find out what the benefits are supposed to be from riding on clipless pedals, all you need to do is a quick Google, and you'll find that the idea is all about power transfer and efficiency. Because your foot is physically attached to the pedal, you're meant to be more efficient.
Yeah, you can also transfer more power because you're able to pull up and push down on the pedal, making your pedal stroke more efficient. But Chris, this all sounds like rubbish because the first one doesn't make any sense and the second one is disproven.
Yeah, and despite that being true, you would absolutely never catch me riding a road bike in a pair of flat pedals.
Yeah, I'd have to wrestle them off you, wouldn't I?
Well, my clips would, if I don't drop them first.
We're going to be doing 2 runs. Our first run's going to be on clipless pedals with our Physique carbon road shoes. Now that should give us a good benchmark. Now our second run will be with trainers and flats.
And it's at this point we should point out the obvious difference between the two setups. You see, cycling shoes are really stiff and designed to be mega efficient. But if you're riding on flats, it's highly unlikely you would have already bought yourself a set of cycling shoes. And you therefore would probably have quite a flexible pair of trainers.
Yeah, a bit like this actually. These trainers are designed for running and walking and not designed to be putting power through a pedal.
Right, let's talk about the tests. To prevent our overly competitive natures coming into play, we're going to be doing them in a time trial specific fashion. That means we'll only ever be riding one rider at a time.
Yeah, but don't worry, we're going to be doing max efforts and we're not allowed to look at our data. So Chris, take off your Wahoo head unit.
In the pocket.
Chris and I have just ridden 2/3 of the way up this iconic climb at cyclo-cross and we're going to be racing the hardest bit of it, all the way up to there.
Yep, the bridge at the top, or very close to the top. Now, there's a reason we've chosen only to do 3Ks, is we don't want to do 2 back-to-back 30-ish minute efforts and have the accumulated fatigue of that. That could skew the results somewhat. But also, I think it'd be more interesting to do something that's a little bit of a halfway house between the sprints they did last time and the longer efforts that they did.
You ready for a max effort?
As ready as I'll ever be, James.
All right, you're going first.
What? And have you chasing me up the climb?
Yes.
Just give me 3 minutes. It's nothing I hate more.
I'll start you off. Chris Opie, run number 1 with clipless pedals. 3, 2, 1, up, 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 up. Right, Chris should be a little bit ways up now. I'm going to start off myself. 3, 2, 1. I'm so button clip in. Right, clipped in. Let's chase that fat sprinter.
That hurt, as you might have expected. It's now time to head down, change the pedals, and go again. Just please, Hank didn't catch me.
Run number 1 done. It's now to change pedals. Woo.
Don't really want to put these pedals on my bike. It just seems, I don't know, I mean, what? They're worth less than a linear tube and the bearings don't really turn, so maybe just you could do the test.
No, that's not fair.
Hey.
After all, this is all for science.
All right, okay.
Right, Chris, how does it feel to be wearing trainers on your Pinarello?
It's really weird because I don't know, I mean, I don't know where to put my feet, as in, these shoes are definitely not made to ride a bike with.
No. Are you ready for this max 3K effort?
No, not really.
Well, don't worry about that, mate, because here you go. You ready? 3, 2, 1, and up! Up, 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 up. It looks slow. Now, the good thing about having flats is I don't have to worry about clipping in. So here goes nothing. 3, 2, 1, up! Wow. Slow start. Oh, it's harder than I thought. That was tough. How do you feel?
It was really weird because every time you go to stand up, you can't really pull up on the pedal in the same way that you normally would. So it's actually easier to stay sat down and turn a slightly bigger gear than normal.
Right, how are we going to look at these results then?
Well, we're going to need a laptop, so we'll do that bit somewhere else and we'll enjoy the rest of our ride for now, I think.
We've made it back to GCN HQ and all the results are in. So Chris, are you ready to elaborate?
I am. So we chose that 3 kilometre section at the top of Cyclo-cross. We'll start with the clipless pedals first.
Let's do it.
We're used to riding them. James, 367 watts, 78 revs per minute. That's how fast his cadence was. 9 minutes 17.
Not bad.
Now, I've been training a little bit.
You have.
I did manage to roll you here.
Yeah,
9 minutes 12. But I did do a lot more watts because I'm a lot heavier than you. So it's 409 watts, but a cadence of 73. I tend to pedal slow going uphill. And
yeah.
I've noticed you always seem to look like you're in an easier gear, getting a little bit faster. So that was clipless. obviously we're trained to ride in that sort of fashion. We know what it's like to be clipped in.
The flat's a bit alien, wasn't
It
it?
was a bit. It didn't feel quite the same. Should we go into the results first?
Let's do it.
Right, 351 watts for you at 70 RPM with a time of 9 minutes 42. Putting 7 seconds into me here.
I know,
Because I did
well,
9:49, 380 watts, but my cadence dropped quite a lot. And both of us lost a bit of cadence, but mine dropped more than yours, 62 RPM.
So what was the conclusion? I guess we're not losing a huge amount of time, but it's all really on feeling, isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly. Like, you would stand up, you tried to stand up to go out of the corners and accelerate and try and pull on the pedals, but you didn't have that, so the bike felt sort of clumsy underneath you. Now, obviously, we're not used to riding with that, without clips. So that was quite alien to us, as you said before.
Yeah, I mean, I rely on the upstroke of the pedal, especially when I'm climbing. So to have to kind of flip it and rely on the downstroke, I just didn't feel like I could get nowhere near the amount of power.
No, you don't get that initial drag through the bottom of the stroke, do you? Like, actually, the power discrepancy, I think, isn't huge. It's not even quite 10%. So that's actually, in fact, it's 5%. So that's really not that bad at all. But it was all about the sensation and the feeling, wasn't it? It just didn't feel like we were riding our bikes anymore.
No. But other than that, I think, you know, they're not as big time gaps as we thought they were going to be.
So if you do have flats at home and you don't really want to change, then don't feel pressurised to doing so.
No, do what's comfortable, I guess.
Yes.
If you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed to see us suffering up the cyclo-cross climb, then make sure you give this video a big thumbs up.
Okay, so I'm here with Sammy Runnels taking a look at your custom Squid Squad bike. Tell us about this.
Well, pink is one of my favorite colors, so I was super excited to have a highlighter pink bike. So the graphic here is actually this logo duplicated across the bike. It's set over silver spray paint. I think it came out phenomenal. It's one of my favorite paint jobs so far.
Yeah, it is really anytime you're riding by, you see the Squid Squad, the crew out there, you know that it's a Squid bike. You've been tearing it up on the circuit. Your kits match match basically all of the customization that you've had on this. It's on your kit, it's on your shoes, it's everywhere. You guys definitely have a whole vibe going on. What is your favorite part of this bike? What makes this really special for you?
I mean, so one of the owners, Chris Namba, and my best friend painted it, and so that really makes it special. But just the metals collection is the spray paint collection that we came out with this year, and the silver is shown in this bike, and it's just been phenomenal to work with this new kind of paint. The copper is one of my favorites now, so maybe that'll be my next bike.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and good luck this weekend.
Thanks.
All right. As I was saying with Sammy, every time this bike goes by, it catches your eye. It is so bright and it has so much energy in it. It's very cool to be sitting here with this in person. It's got SRAM and zip all throughout, but it's using the all-new SRAM Force Axis. Sammy opts for a 1x setup using a 42th ring, 170 crankset, and a 1033 rear cassette. She's also using Crank Brothers Candy SL 7 pedals in jet black to match the Force crankset. Sammy runs a Zip Service Course SL 80 bar in size 44 width. She also has a Zip Service Course SL stem, but not any old stem. This one's been touched up by the Squid paint department, and it looks pretty sharp. Keeping in true Squid form, there is no internal headsets or bottom brackets. It's all external. This is the White Industries. It's got a 3444 tapered head tube. It is not anodized, going just straight for the silver look, although, of course, you can get it anodized and have it any color that you want. Staying up high, this bike has the Zip SL carbon seat post. It also has an SDG Duster saddle with the custom Squid design on it. Everything on this bike is unique, and the wheels are no different. They're running Zip 303 tubeless wheels. They use IRC as their tire company, and this tire has actually been designed in conjunction with IRC. It is a custom prototype tire that the Squid Squads helped design. It is not yet for sale, but they do expect in the next year that it's going to come out and be a part of their product line. Attached to the wheels to slow this machine down, they've got SRAM red calipers as well as 140 rotors. So let's grab some measurements. I was told that this bike is a 52, and that matches up. The center of the stem, which is 100, to the top of the saddle, tip of the saddle is 48. The bars are 44. And that's what we got. The fork on this squid is an Envy carbon fiber cyclocross fork. The bars are wrapped with SRAM's service course grip tape. It wouldn't be a pro bike check without a weight check. So here we go. Let's see how the squid cross comes in. 8.7 kilograms, which would be about 19-ish pounds. I'm thinking of you, GCN crew, with your free hub sound check. Let's hear what we got on this Zip 303. Weirdly, I'm still not into it, but I like doing it for the people. They really do appreciate these. Sounds good. So that is Sammy Runnels' Squid Cross, the pro rider from the United States. What a beautiful bike with the pink and silver. It's a sharp bike. If you see it going by, definitely give it a cheer. I know she'd appreciate it. If you guys like this bike, leave us a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Let us know what colors you would pick if you were gonna make a custom Squid Cross bike. If you guys wanna see other pro bikes, check those out over here. And if you wanna subscribe to GCN, you know what to do. Click right in the center.
The artist in me loves that bike. I love that paint job on that bike. Love Jeremy's bike reviews as well. Welcome aboard. Just to give you an idea, the elite women's race was about 15 minutes delayed. We haven't seen the start line pictures yet of the men, so we're just going to kind of assume that the men's race is going to be delayed by a similar amount. We've only just sort of seen the women's podiums. Talking of that, if you haven't seen the elite women's race and you don't want to know what happened, look away in 3, 2, 1. Let's have a look back. It was a battle again between Celine Del Carmen Alvarado and Anna Marie Quest, and it came down to that little error there by Anna Marie on that bank. She'd cleaned it multiple times in that race. There you have it. Celine Del Carmen Alvarado looking phenomenal in that rainbow jersey. Kicked on at the front into the finishing straight over the consummate professional, zips up the skin suits, make sure that you can see the sponsors. Anna Marie closes down, sporting pat on the shoulder and a big smile from the 777 rider as she crossed the line. Power 1000 big goals. Denise Betsom are managing to overhaul Anna Kay for third. Kay finished fourth. There is your winner. That rainbow jersey sitting well on the shoulders of Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, isn't it? She has soaked up the pressure of taking over in the mantle of that one and getting a confetti cannon in the face to boot there. I think she almost got a mouthful of confetti on the podium there. Anna Marie Quest and Denise Betsom alongside her. You can see it's a windy day here in Hulst for the final race here of the Ethias series. Epic course and big conditions. That's making great racing. Thanks for your company here today on GCN Racing. The Ethias series goes all the way back to Eeklo in September. Let's just remind ourselves of the men's race in Maldenham. They have it. That was the last round there in Maldenham, and again one of two great sprints by Toon Aerts to get him up there on the podium last week, and that was Ellie Isbit from Michael Van Turen out. Toon Aerts in third last year. This race here in Hulst was a great way to finish the season as well. Mathieu Van der Poel, for the most part, going toe to toe with Tom Pidcock, and then Lars Van Haar getting past Pidcock to take second last year. No Van der Poel today, no Wout van Aert, but we have have got a great field assembled for this one. Jeremy Powers is with me. Jeremy, back end of the season. For those riders might be finishing the season today, they're going to want to finish with a bang.
They are going to want to finish with a bang. There's, when you're looking at ticking them off, as I would say, you're looking at, there's only 2 more races left today and then 1 more next weekend. There's a couple more exhibition races and things that will happen for these guys throughout February. But generally speaking, they're going to be rolling off of, there's probably no more training days. So they're looking forward to the sunny beaches and a little bit of vacation, I think, to rest and recuperation. They're always professionals. There's no question that they're always going to be eating well and taking care of themselves. But I think that they probably will, for some of the riders that have to be more strict in their diets and things like that, they'll probably indulge and have some pastries and some beers.
I'm sure Lauren Swake had a few beers after taking that Telenet Super Prestige Series. Downed one right on just before he went on the podium yesterday. I saw some pictures of him and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado getting their €30,000 checks for that series. Let's have a look at the start list for today. Let's check out the riders that we want to keep an eye on. Toon Aerts. Could be, he's going well, Toon Aerts. Could be a good day for him. The likes of Ethias a bit, though. Laurens Swake, Michael van Toornhout. Lars van der Haar has been going well the last couple of races, hasn't he? It could be a good day for him. They were, as I said, last year's podium. Lars van der Haar second, Tom Pidcock third. Those 2 today could be the ones for me.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it would be interesting to see how yesterday's race plays into today's race, right? There's going to be some sore legs. Yesterday, there's no question that they went out of the blocks real hot. They were Van der Haar shot out of there, like I said, a cannon yesterday when he went off. It was just flying from the get-go, and then Aerts came in through late, through down. But Ilya Iserbyt, Lauren Swek, those guys definitely had big days yesterday. A lot of energy going out to be able to, take that overall and fight for that overall, because like I said, yesterday there was so much money on the line, and to be able to win that overall in the Super Prestige, a culmination from the beginning of the season to the end, they needed to put it together, and the point spread, if you didn't follow it, was so tight that they all had to really go out there and race, and it was kind of up in the air until the last couple of laps.
One rider that we haven't talked a lot about, and he started to creep, he crept into the top 10 yesterday from memory, is Ryan Camp, the under-23 world champion. There's riders like that as well that might just be carrying that form and momentum from the world championships that
Definitely
could spring a surprise potentially today.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the motivation. I think once we see the start, we'll know where these riders are lining up. There's always going to be someone that lines up on a good day. They wake up, they know that the coffee tastes right, their legs feel good when they get out of bed. Yesterday's race didn't go well or did go well, but today they just feel great. I mean, as a rider, you don't always get to pick it. Even as a commentator now, some days are great, some days aren't. So it's like, you have these things where you're just like, yeah, some days are better than others for the riders. So Ryan Kent may walk down the stairs today and say, I think I'm going to go for it at Hulst. And that would be great. We'd love to see that. Definitely last year we saw I would say a breakout ride for Tom Pidcock here when he was able to match up with Mathieu van der Poel. So that was cool to be able to witness. And hopefully he likes this course. He likes the way that this course flows, and he's able to replicate something similar here today.
Just to mention as well, thanks for your patience. Nothing on our part. The start slightly delayed because of the weather. We had a tree down earlier on in the day. I'm sure there's a few rocks. I know Cameron Mason watches our coverage in his camper van, so I'm sure him and Tom ride past people and go, Jeremy and Marty just predicted you're going to win today, and they'll be like, no, the curse of GCN.
That's right. I think we built Anna Kay up, though. I mean, I think she had a great ride, and you were calling her to have a good ride. So, I mean, Marty, I think we may have turned the tide here. I think that you may now be the forecaster that people need to say, did Marty say? What did Marty say? And then that kind of leads them to greatness. I think that that's possible.
Let's have a look at the winners of the Ethias series so far. So going all the way back to the beginning of the season, it was Laurens Swake that took it in Eeklo way back on the 8th of September. Molenbeek and Michael van Toornhout, kind of the only win in these races of the season for Michael van Toornhout. Elise in Kruijbeek, Quentin Hermans in Beringen. That was a good day. I enjoyed that one. He won in Essen. Yeah. Breden was Van der Poel. Malderham was Iserbyt. And that Beringen course for me, I love it. I think we need some more obstacles at the top of the climb.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. There are some great races in this series. You know, this race, the Ethias had a lot of great races. And when you start to think back to September 8th, Lauren Swick, you know, October 5th, Michael Van Torenhout, these are a long time ago. September 8th, as far as I'm concerned, that's before the World Cups happened. That's the season kickoff. So Lauren Swick winning there and then also winning yesterday. You know, that's a long time to be able to hold your form and to be able to have different peaks and valleys. I feel like Swick went through a time just after you know, in the middle of the season where he wasn't clocking the podium every time, but then that Belgian national champion tricolor really pushed him up and was allowed him to have a great end to his season. And I think yesterday he doesn't have anything else he needs to do for the rest of the year.
I'm seeing the riders on the start. So we're going to go down to the start line. Don't forget, subscribe to GCN Racing. It helps. Subscribe to the channel. Give us it doesn't cost you anything. Just subscribe, get on board, hit that bell icon so that you're notified every time we go live. You can also schedule your broadcasts as well, so you can get a notification about half an hour before we go live, and do that. And don't forget, give us a thumbs up on our live broadcasts as well. That all helps. We just get used to giving that thumbs up, letting the powers that be know that you love our cyclocross coverage here on GCN Racing. Thanks for your company. The wind is still blowing across the course here as they get ready for the start. We've seen a few riders just out warming up on the course as well as your aerial shot there. So they did have a bit of a tree down earlier on before the start of the women's race. Quickly cleared up and on its way. There you go, 13 degrees Celsius today and a 51 km/h wind for the riders. Down on the start, Michael Van Torenhout here alongside Elizabeth. Tom Mayusen just behind him. Curtis White in the wearing 67, American rider, had a great start yesterday. Toon Aerts getting a little close up here of tyre choice, Jeremy.
Absolutely, yeah, running the Dugas Typhoon there for Toon Aerts. That's Lauren Swick there with number 3. Those teeny numbers. Number 6 there is Corne van Kessel. Lars van der Haar, number 5, always very serious at the start. You see Carrie Werner back there, number 11 in that Pan American Champs jersey. That was Tom Pidcock there with number 7. And then you've got Felipe Aerts, the Spanish national champ. Behind him, Dieter Van Torenhout and Thijs Aerts just there in the corner of your screen as they get ready, Marty, with the focus for this start here in Hulst.
Pidcock, Aerts, British champion, Spanish champion, watching the lights, getting ready to go. Look at the focus, look at the concentration of these riders. Lars van der Haar always crouched and ready to go. And we are off and racing. Carrie Werner, you can see there the Pan Am Champions jersey. Aerts trying to get a good start here. Lars van der Haar has got a good start. Pidcock gets drifted back just a touch. Swick getting himself up there. Corne van Kessel wearing number 6 in the short sleeves again for Tormans CX. Behind him, Swick looking to finish the season on a high. As Lars van der Haar, Toon Aerts are your order. Then Van Torenhout, Isabit, Mayusen, David van der Poel up there. Pidcock and Aerts just trying to find their way through. And Vinnie Bastians, Jim Arnouts all up towards the front of this one here. Onto this little off-camera section. Corne van Kessel didn't have a great start yesterday, did he, Corne?
No, definitely had an off day yesterday, but able to make it up here to the front. Definitely probably a little bit upset with yesterday and how that turned out, but able to pull it back around, get this good start today, and a lot of motivation and wind in the sails to fly the flag for the Tormans team today, Marty.
Indeed. So let's have a little look around through the group. So the Dutchman leading out. So Corne van Kessel needs to, you would say for Corne, there's Cameron Mason just going through your picture for Trinity Racing. So let's just run you down through some of your other riders. So looking around our group, my start list is a bit odd today as riders just try and find their way around. It's not our usual easy to find start list. So Italians, Jacob Doragoni, Curtis White, Cameron Mason's already 64, but he's easy to pick out. 61, watch out for Finn Mansfield, Donald Morgan wearing 60, Dolph Payman is in there as well, Marco Carrozzo, Simon Burgess wearing 54. 4. Just going through some of our other riders on the starts. Let's go through your next group. Stan Godry, watch out for Stan Godry. He's been coming onto a little bit of form as of late, has Stan Godry.
He has, very much so. He's been riding really good, close to that top 10. As we see, Corne van Kessel really turned it around. Might have had a session last night with himself, just kind of focusing on what can I do, what can I control, what can I get right here today. I know that I've got the form. It's maybe a little bit of a mental block as riders come into these. Sometimes it happens like that, Marty. You know, you have a couple bad days after the Worlds, things don't go quite right, and then all of a sudden it's like you're down on yourself. But that's what it is about a professional rider at this highest level. You have to turn it around and really put it back into play. So he's got good people around him. He's got his family out there. He's always been one of the guys that's been out there. I raced a lot with Corne van Kessel, great guy, good head on his shoulders as well. And I have to say, we always used to jive a lot on the on the tires and the tire pressures. We used to talk about those all the time. He always had some unique tire combination. He really likes his tires. So he's looks like he's got the right ones on today and the right pressure out there here as these riders fly down this descent. You can hear the machines and how much of a beating they're taking on this as they come into this Swiss-style big run-up here in Hulst.
So the big run-up, still Corne van Kessel that's got the front here. Lars van der Hart as just moves up. There's Felipe Aerts, the Spanish champion. It's got a good start today. Has Felipe, can he hold the endurance throughout this one? As Jens Adams just runs into the bottom of the bank there. There's Stan Godry, and they're just having a look at the shoes. So a few riders there. They've had a few problems with the shoes so far this year. Riders, we saw Alvarado having to change it yesterday, just clipping the boas, and maybe that's what's the power sales and mechanics in the pits are making sure that they've got shoes ready for the riders. As Ryan Camp has got a good start here. Ryan Camp on the opening lap. Van Kessel, does he manage to ride that? No, just stays on the bike for the most part. So Corne van Kessel still leaning out for Tormann's CX. See what Corne van Kessel can do on the road this year. Great course here in Hulst. If you're just getting on board, welcome. It's the final round of the Ethias Cross Series in round 8. Zweig, Van Torenhout, Isabit, Hermans, a couple of wins, and Van der Poel have been the winners so far in the season. Pidcock just moving up now onto the wheel of Michael Van Torenhout as they drop down this fast descent here. Isabit just digs in on there. Mathieu gets a good line. So does Aerts, the Spaniard. As Pidcock just tries to move up. David Van der Poel. There's Vinny Bastian's just going through as well. So and then there's a bit of a gap back from the end of this group to the next riders. That's Mace Hendricks that's there in the plain black skin suit.
Yeah, it is, yes. And as you see there, that's the back there. Tom Mayusen wearing number 10. I wonder if that rider that we saw there was that Roger de Vlaeminck, Marty. I'm not totally sure that was holding that shoe there. It could have been. That's some Belgian cyclocross history lesson there for us. Let's see if we get another picture of him with the shoes. But they're out at the front going through the pits here. Everybody going to make sure that they have their shoes. The BOAs are a great system. They work phenomenally, but there definitely is a limitation. Oh, we have a rider coming in for a shoe here. Definitely getting a different shoe. This is the second time we're seeing this week, Marty. This is crazy.
Yeah, well, it looked like Van Torenhout had clipped something. Just the way he went around that sort of off-camber section, maybe he had shouted across to the mechanics. So they laces, Jeremy, and Velcros and ratchets.
Okay, I take it back. I don't think that was the Vlaeminck. Now that I had a better picture of that, so I don't think that's who that was. But that being said, there is definitely something to be said for Velcro and for like a ratchet style. But all these shoes have their limitations. You know, there's not one perfect system. The thing that I would say that's most important about being a professional is that you make sure that you do have a second pair of shoes for big races, for the national championships, for World Cups, for even the smaller stuff. My mechanic always had a second pair. Whether if I was racing on the road, it was in the car. Every rider had a second pair of shoes with them in the car if they were on the road. But in cyclocross, your mechanic brings them to the pit. It's one time I was racing a really cold race with a lot of steep embankments and stuff like that. I actually cracked the sole of the shoe, unfortunately. As you can see, the boa unfortunately just ripped right off of that shoe, maybe in an off-camber crash or or something that where he hit another rider's bike. But they do shear off, unfortunately, and once that happens, there's no coming back. As you see, Van Kessel led out that first lap, Marty, for a 7:20 lap time, and now it is Lawrence Swick and Illy Easterbit back at the front of affairs here.
It is indeed. So Mayusen, Ryan Camp, Felipe Aerts going through in 8th. And then Jim Arnouts, Tom Pidcock rounds out your top 10. So just trying to get up there. So 9 seconds separating them. Dave Edwards just adding what a boa is. You had a close up there of the boa with the boa on it. That's the dials, the ratchet system on the shoes. So that's just to explain that to you. Lawrence Swake has the front here over Ellie Easterbit, Lars Van der Horst, Van Kessel, and Toon Aerts just gets delayed there. That might give that front group a bit of an advantage there.
They were teammates, but they're not anymore. So Van Kessel there closed the door on Aerts. Aerts was on the inside, and Van Kessel had that opportunity. He was able to close the door on him a little bit. So, yeah, very that might have a discussion after the race. Not totally sure. These guys race so often together that that they're not going to be picking these spots, but I think that there would have been a little bit of respect there. But definitely Corne Van Kessel today, Marty, is in it for the win. He wants to fight for the front here. But one of the riders that we see that we don't always see making this first selection, Tom Mayusen, able to make this front selection, Marty, right there coming through in 6th place.
Yeah, I've always been a big fan of the Iceman, as he's known, Tom Mayusen. And for me, Tom looks like he's got a new lease of life with his new team. He looks super motivated, rather than, I suppose you can have that with someone like Mayusen when you're in a team with Mathieu van der Poel, where you think, do you know what, Mathieu's going to win?
Yeah, well, Hensmay definitely is a cool program with Vincent Bastines as I believe one of the people that started the program. Then they've got quite a few riders, but signing Tom Mayusen was a big deal. I've heard rumors about an additional rider being signed onto that program for next year, but I'll wait for them to announce that to see if that comes to fruition or not. But I'll say one thing about hanging out with Tom Mayusen. When we did the game of bike, he was so generous with his time. He spent the entire day with us, jumping over crazy stuff and doing fun. We did like some type of downhill ski racing, but on our cyclocross bikes through the sand. It was super fun. It was like a slalom, essentially, going through the sand. Mayusen's so gifted in the bike handling, but in his little local community where he is, someone came up, several people recognized him by face. Hey, Tom Mayusen. And it just goes to show that these guys are, not only are they big deals to us in the international cycling and cyclocross community, but in their hometowns, these guys are absolute superstars.
Yeah, Jens Adams going through there in the white. Michael Van Turenhout after that shoe change, just trying to pick his way back through and back up towards the front. But this group still very much together. You can see the wind really kicking the advertising hoardings down. A few barriers just starting to get blown in here. If you're just joining us today, it winds in excess of 50 kilometers an hour. They said 51 when we came on air. 57 was the wind maps that I had an eye on a little bit earlier on. 80 kilometer an hour gusts on the run up, but it's Lawrence Swake that does have the front here. Van Kessel, Mayusen just striding up there in the grey, yellow and red jersey as Pidcock just runs past Felipe Aerts here, the Spanish champion. Good to see both of these riders just starting to crack the top 10s here. You can see the wind just catching the advertising boards. They've got to get the cable cutters out and take those off. Just mean the wind can just flow through those sections there. Easterbit just drops down to the bottom of that section as they go onto this little bridge here in Hulst. Thanks for all of you for getting on board today. Thanks for joining us. This is our penultimate live broadcast this winter here in our cyclo-cross coverage. We are back next Saturday with the race from Leuven, but this is our penultimate day of cross action as Mayusen just tries to get up that bank. Easterbit though has the front, has finished his season strongly. Has Easterbit. Swake Great ride by him yesterday. Van der Haar right behind him. Toon, then Mathieu, Van Kessel, Ryan Camp, and the rider that we said you need to watch out for today. Then Jim Aerts and Tom Pidcock just starting to close back up towards this front group. We've seen Pidcock do this regularly so far this season, haven't we, Jeremy? Just picking his way through the riders in front of him and making it back up to that front group.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was a great example of that. You know, it took him a little time to get the engine warmed up, but once he got there, he laid down a massive attack. I said, like, his adrenaline gland just went wide open, and he just laid down an attack, which unfortunately went beautifully for a bit as we see these riders fly down this super steep descent. So many different line choices through here, really fast, but definitely, unfortunately, not able to keep that moving, and he hit the bottom there, and then just kind of went over. Basically his legs kind of went out from under him and he hit his groin really hard. So yeah, it looks like that's not bothering him today, though, as he sews this back up and gets back into that front group, which is now a chase group. Eli Iserbyt could do really well on this course here today, Marty, as we see him jumping the barriers there, boom, boom, right over with an attack and acceleration right out of it. We realize that the race is on because Eli Iserbyt said it's on now. But so many steep little embankments, and I've said over the course of the season that Iserbyt has so much strength and power. He's a very small rider, so he's got a big power to weight, especially as it gets steeper and kicks up on these big embankments that Hulst has become very known for here.
Tom Mathieu, I know a lot of you big fans of Tom Mathieu behind, so and a few of you asking who the black kit is. It's Mace Hendricks who's wearing 69. He's wearing a plain black skin suit, and that is the beauty of races such as this. Sometimes you just see a rider that just pops up there, and we have who we haven't seen before on our screens. Potentially, just gets up there and starts to get into the mix. Ryan Camp, the World Under-23 cyclocross champion, who races for Poel Bingo. In terms of the Under-23 races for him, apart from the world title, so far since the turn of the year in 2020, he won in Brussels. He won the national Under-23 title. He won in Nome, and he won in Heijden. So Ryan Camp, I said, watch out for him. Eli Iserbyt back onto the start-finish straight here as he goes through just 14 minutes and 27 seconds and counting. Then you've got a gap now back to your chasers of Van der Haar, Sweek, Mathieu, and then Van Kessel, Aerts, Camp, and then Pidcock and Aerts will cross the line next, and they are 9 seconds for Camp, 13 for Pidcock. David van der Poel just in front of Felipe Aerts. So Aerts, can he crack the top 10 today? A top 10 for the Spanish champion would be a good ride. And then you have Adams, Van Torenau, Hendricks, and then Thijs Aerts just in front of Dan Suter, Vinny Bastians going through. So that is your order through the line. But Eli Iserbyt is looking great at the front. Lars van der Haar telling that Baloise Alliance is the rider giving chase. He's got this Poel teammate of Iserbyt on the wheel. Look at the face of Tom Pidcock as he grits his teeth, digs in on this one. This is still anyone's race here at the moment. If Iserbyt, good advantage if they can close it down just a touch, but we've seen Iserbyt do this time and time again this season, haven't we?
That's right. Yeah, he's been able to go to the front. He's able to do this at the World Cups when he came over to the United States. We saw him absolutely ride from the front, but it's Lars van der Haar that's taking up the chase here, wants to see if he can put himself on terms with Eli Iserbyt today, just like he did yesterday, maybe playing it a little bit differently. Realized that if he had not pushed that first 15 minutes yesterday, Marty, it would have maybe been a different outcome. So maybe just kind of thinking about it as a different tactic as he comes in today. And you see now Lawrence Sweck going in with that opposite side bike change, the left-hand side, not the typical side that we traditionally see from riders. As you see there, the Poel's team management, they're all on the end. There's quite a few riders out there today to support these guys, giving them the feedback, really wanting to capitalize on this end of the season haul here that these guys have been showing that they're able to take.
You can see a super quick race here, this group at times just stretching and coming back together. As Van der Haar kicks it up that onto this bridge and then into the bank. Back to the head of the race though, Eli Iserbyt. He did play the teammate yesterday, Eli Iserbyt. You've got to say with Lawrence Sweek. Would you agree?
Absolutely, absolutely. But you see there that Van der Haar said enough is enough. He's coming through. He's got those yellow shoes on today, really trying to make sure that he gets back to Elite Easter bit. But you're absolutely right. These guys do, there's a bit of team stuff happening. You're right. I think that there was a little bit that played into that more so yesterday than any of the other days. Got that tire wrong way, but now he's got it going the right way. I think these guys look out for each other. I don't think that there's a huge discussion beforehand, but I think if the opportunity presents itself, maybe Easterbit says, hey, I don't have great legs in the day, or I have okay legs, but clearly Lawrence is better, and Lawrence is off the front, then he may look out for him. It's not as we see here, this slow-mo of Easterbit coming down this, whoa, very, very fast. He had so much speed going down that he almost overcooked that. He was going so quick. You can see the rear tire there skidding a little bit as he comes down. Now we've got that steep run-up that these guys are doing. And like I said, Easterbit with that small frame, light figure, able to just run straight up that. It's going to be easier for him than it is for some of the bigger riders today.
There indeed. Van der Haar gets to the top. Mathieu, Swake right with him. Thanks all of you for checking in all over the place. Fran over on the on Twitter. Thanks for saying hi. Jarvis as well is checking in over on Twitter. Thanks for all your tweets. Jose Ordovez Montanas checking in as well on the home trainer. Thanks for all of you for saying hi. Loving your chat as well. The way you interact here on our GCN Racing Cross community. Van der Haar, Mathieu, leading our chasing group with Swake and Aerts. Let's have a little glance back here. There's Van Toon out there. Hey. Nice save.
That was a good save. You can see that there's, they're pushing, like I said, on that descent in the women's race, Marty, they're absolutely, but you can see the wind whipping there. They're pushing the limits of these tires on these fast tracks. But wow, look at that crosswind that they're getting right now. This really, Marty, does change how this race is raced. Each of these riders, it's man against man out here because there's not a lot of opportunity. If you can shelter behind a rider, by all means. But if you take one bad gust of wind and you're on someone's wheel, that could take you out. So these riders are really racing their own races. We saw a little bit different going on in the women's race with Anna Marie Worst and Celine Del Carmen Alvarado, but it even looks like it's actually, surprisingly, the wind has picked up even more so. You see that the flags are really, really whipping now, and you see the riders riding more individual, which tells me something. That tells me that there's even more wind, as we just caught the edge of Sven Nys there, giving a little bit of encouragement to Lars van der Haar as he continues to chase here.
They are indeed. Lars van der Haar has had his hands in the air this year as Mathieu just coming back into some form. Tom Mathieu with Group Hens mass containers now on the Scott bike for him, back up to the front to Ellie Easterbit. Started the season in phenomenal fashion. It's over there in the USA. He's had a great season as Ellie Easterbit, and I think Poel, Sals and Jeremy have been very, very clever in how they've raced Ellie Easterbit so far this winter in terms of the times when he's had races. Then you've seen the way that his form has dropped off, and it's been a great view, hasn't it, and the perfect cycle on how you build and ride form cycles throughout a season.
Absolutely. Definitely been able to use riders at different times that they felt like and kind of bring one in, bring one up, bring one down. Able to really show that they have a lot of depth in their management to be able to kind of hold these riders back and give them a good sense of when they want. They're looking at it very similar to a road team. They have a massive program with so many riders on it. Really, the biggest cyclocross team that I think we've ever seen. There's so many riders there right now, from the under 23s all the way down. And it's a different organization than the Rudhoff brothers have, which is the combination of programs that are out there. Sven Nys has the Telenet Balawaza program, but these guys from Poel Salzen have a huge program. So being able to tell riders like, hey, we want to see you go well here, we want to rest you here, or not rest you, but just have you not putting out as much effort in each one of these races, just taking it a little bit more gingerly, like don't give up, but just maintain and float a little bit. That's an important thing to be able to do, and that's an important word that we use a lot when I'm talking about coaching or any of the things that we do where you just give an advice. It's like there has to be times in the year where you float a little bit. Everyone cannot be Mathieu van der Poel or Anna Marie Worst or Celine Del Carmen Alvarado. You have to have these are the tippity top of the racing at this moment. You really need to pick and choose your spots and have some ups and some downs and some where you're just part of it, because it's a super long season. It really is 6 months of racing, especially for these European riders, Marty.
It is indeed. 19 seconds was your gap from Elizabeth to the chasing group as they went through the line on that occasion. Can they get back up to Isabet at the front? That's quite a substantial advantage when you start to get into that sort of territory. Lap 4 of 8 we are on here. It's Lars van der Haar that's leading out here from Tom Meeuwsen, Toon Aerts, Laurens Sweeck, Tom Pidcock and Corne van Kessel. So Pidcock's made it in there. Van Kessel on the back. They're so brave, these guys, these timing guys that do this job, getting up there to make sure that they keep everything safe. The wind is very, very blustery conditions for the riders today at the front. This chasing group, they've got to do something soon to try and pull back Ellie, Isabet, Toon Aerts and Lars van der Haar. Do some combination here for Telenet Bauer's Alliance. Can they pull back the Poel Sauzen rider? Sweeck can just kind of kick back in this group, sit back. He had the victory yesterday, won the Telenet Super Prestige Series overall. We're live today here in Hulst for round 8 of the Ethias Cross Series. Last year, it was Van der Poel from Van der Haar, Pidcock, Aerts, Isabet, Pauls, Meeuwsen, Neuvenhuis, Arnouts and Sweeck. That was your order. There's Kerry Werner just going through your picture. And 2 minutes 2 separating the top 10 last year. It was very close. Van der Poel taking it by 7 seconds from Lars van der Haar. Tom Meeuwsen back up to the front. I'm loving seeing Tom back and charge in the front like this.
Absolutely. It's so good to see. He's had these rides last year too. I mean, he's had these rides over the last couple of years, but definitely when he gets a good day in his legs, he's not a guy to discount. I could see Tom Meeuwsen being on the podium here. One thing that I would say about him, having raced with him since I was a junior and over the years, he knows how to dig deep. He'll suffer and suffer and suffer. He will not give up when he's in this position. And I think this would be such a massive ride for that program, for the Maze program, for the Hens Maze program that he's just linked onto. I know that he'd love to pull this off more than just about anybody today.
Indeed, and just onto this descent, you can see the arm pump of the riders as they drop down that descent. Good to see Trinity Racing colours up there, the British champion, and check out some of these. There's a few articles floating around today in terms of Pidcock just saying he's why can't he build a program staying multidisciplined like Mathieu van der Poel. So yeah, Trinity Racing potentially building a road team and carrying on with that one. He wants to stick with the multidisciplined approach and build his own program. And he's got a great team of advisors behind him.
That's great. It's great to hear. It would be cool to see him be able to replicate, and someone like Van der Poel has really flipped the script on what was possible before he did that. No one had really done it at such a high level. You know, I was always part of a road team when I was coming up. I had to switch teams. It was kind of this gray area where I raced for Jelly Belly, which was a professional racing team here in the United States. Did a lot of beautiful races, but I needed that. Tim Johnson really paved the way there. Mark McCormick, riders that I looked up to when I was coming up, were able to kind of give that that sense that it was possible. You go, you get your big road racing miles, you get your big stage races in, you do time with them, you represent, you learn about teamwork and travel and all of the things, and really that team environment. Cyclocross is such an individual sport, but combining mountain bikes, cyclocross, road racing, that is just something that has not ever been done before Mathieu van der Poel. And so I give him, you know, it takes a big rider and a big personality to be able to pull something like that off, but I do really give him an exorbitant amount of credit for being able to kind of go through what I guarantee were hard times where it wasn't all making sense. But there we get a nice picture of Sven Nys there, giving a lot of confidence to his guy, Lars van der Haar, there in the corner. But I give him, anyway, to finish that off, Marty, I give Mathieu van der Poel a lot of credit and his team a lot of credit for being able to pull that off and stick to their own on that. So great to hear that that he may consider that in the future as an option.
Yeah, and they're all young riders as well. We've got to remember how young the likes of Elisabeth and Tom Pidcock are. They have plenty of time And change is good in terms of world cycling and making your own way and writing your own rule book and doing what you want to do rather than as riders have in the past. We saw with the last generation, you would say, of cross riders that once they turned pro on the road, that was it. They weren't allowed to come and ride in the field anymore. Now these riders are dictating what they want to do. Pidcock now moves up onto the wheel of Tom Mathieu as Toon gets in for a swift bike change and straight back on it and back out as Swake powers up onto the wheel now of Toon into the bunny hops. Look at the speed carried there from these riders as they go through the plank section.
I don't know what to say, Marty. Now that we've got Tom Mathieu and we've got Lauren Swick, Toon Aerts, Tom Mathieu. This is going to be an interesting race, Marty. This is now that we see Pidcock up in this front group. I'm very. He looks like he's energized. Like this is what happened yesterday in the North Sea race. Is just that he's got this intensity when he hits the front here. It's like I said, this just something clicks, and all of a sudden he says, "Okay, I'm going to start my race up." 30 minutes in, it's like he warmed up. He's feeling good, and now we're all going to see maybe the wrath of Tom Pidcock here today.
Yeah, this group pressing on. Tom Mathieu had some good podiums in the course of this season. Back up to the front of the race. They're concentrating on that second group lap. Going to go on to lap 5 here, so 28 minutes and 15 seconds for the time of Ethias. So he's lapping fairly consistently here. He's still got a good gap, this chasing group. It was 19 seconds back to group 2. He's managed to extend that advantage on this lap. It's going to be up towards the 30-second mark as they go through the line this time. So can Tom Pidcock and Tom Mathieu make a difference? 27 seconds is your gap back now to this group. Lars van der Haar just on the back of this group, just goes through there at 35 seconds. Gut feeling here, Jeremy. Ethias is going to take an awful lot to close back up to Ellie when he gets into this sort of look as well, this sort of rhythm.
Definitely. Where do you find 27 seconds? Where do you find 3 seconds on this track? It's so fast when you look at some of the twisty off-camber and chicane type sections that they've linked together to make this happen here. It's definitely not a traditional cyclocross course. So where can you find 3 seconds? 4 seconds a lap? It's going to be tough for someone like Pidcock or Toon Aerts to be able to bring that back, but not impossible if Ethias were to have a problem. But you can see now Pidcock's decided that he's going to start to hit out, and it's on Mathieu and Toon Aerts there that are going to be the ones that are going to take up the charge. Also try to match him blow for blow as he does starts to link these sections together. Whales that off camber here, off the gas to go around that sharp right hand 180 turn into the headwind section, and now we're getting a shot of Ethias here continuing to push the tape. He'll be getting information from his team's management that these guys are starting to chase, that Pidcock's on the front and really starting to turn up the pace. So Ethias going to know that he's going to need to continue to push the pace on his end to keep that and maintain that 27-second lead that he has so far.
Indeed, up that bridge, then onto the bank, gets up that one, just has a little momentary there. You just have to shift the weight backwards and forwards just to keep the traction there.
But that's what I'm talking about, Marty. It's those sections that Ethias is so good on. I remember seeing him race in Zolder at the World Championships, just able to hit these very steep, powerful sections. This course truly has Ethias' name all over it, and it's because of those short, very punchy, powerful sections that Ethias seems to genetically just be very gifted at able to hit with a lot of speed, intensity, and finesse.
So Ethias on the descent there. Ooh, goes in there. Little correction there from Ethias on that descent. You can see just how much they're pushing the limit on this course. Your chasers, Pidcock and Aerts, are behind British champion as they go through the under the windmill there. Great part of the course. Toon Aerts is up with the British champion now. And Jody Formosa just asking, do they wear radios? No radio use in cyclocross. It's all yelling to the pits, isn't it, Jeremy?
It is. It's one-to-one communication with either the management or the team mechanic if they need anything. But there is not a ton of stuff. As you see here, this replay of Isterbit, he's been a little squirrely on this descent throughout the race. So coming in here a little bit cockeyed, just misses that rut, trying to get that. You see the finesse there, just getting that leg out, trying to counterbalance the bike from going through and taking that rut into the fencing. Able to save it, thankfully, as we see now Pidcock and Toon Aerts there coming in for second and third. You can see the Pidcock puts the bike down, hits the inside of his leg back into the pedals. This is one of the ones last year, Marty, where we saw a couple riders put the bike down too quickly and then try to get back on. That rear tire still bouncing, and they unfortunately got their groin in the rear tire, which is never fun or pleasant.
No, not at all. Poel Bingo leading out here. You can see lap 5 of 8. Thanks for your company today on GCN Racing, our penultimate weekend of cyclocross action as Pidcock just skips that leg along through that section. We have one final race to come next week. I promise not to get overly emotional next week when we have that one. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. That all helps. Give us a thumbs up as well on our live broadcast. It all helps to be able to continue to bring you live cyclocross action, as Toon Aerts just has a little dab there as he kicks up that bank to try and stay with Tom Pidcock. Some epic races so far this season from that man in third place. That race in Namur, the race in Zonhoven, bringing to an end Mathieu van der Poel's winning streak. He may not have a European champs jersey or a Belgian champs jersey on his shoulders at the end of this season, but Toon Aerts, he's been a phenomenal competitor again, hasn't he?
He absolutely has. Yeah, as you see Pidcock, though, just bending it up, really trying to push the pace here. As he could tell, there was a bit of a headwind section there. He came out. This is the depth that these riders have, Marty. When they see that there's a very hard section of the course, not sitting up and making the other rider match them, that's as big of an attack as any. When you know that the wind is going to play a factor. When it's at your back, it's the same for everyone. When it's a headwind, it makes it even harder. So Aerts has to dig. Now, this is classic racing, but I saw Pidcock really take a look back, check up. He noticed that Aerts wasn't there in the headwind section and decided to just go all out and pin it through there. That is the show of someone that wants to have a good race here today and put himself up on the blocks of the podium.
It is indeed. So third last year for Tom Pidcock, looking to try and take the second today onto the planks there. Carries that good speed through that section, going through the line the last time. Elias a bit building a steady advantage. 19 seconds at the end of lap 3, 27 seconds at the end of lap 4. We'll see if there's attacks now by Pidcock from Trinity Racing. Have managed to pull that gap back. Some more sponsorship this week for the Trinity Racing team, in the form of BMW, I think it was, that have come in to add some more sponsorship to Pidcock's Trinity Racing team. Andrew McQuaid and Kurt Bogart's doing a great job with this team. They really have brought on Cameron Mason this season as well. It was great to see Abby Parkinson back and racing in the cyclocross for this program. She's now onto the road with Lotte Sudal for the season, and a lot of chat going on about on the various chat sections on YouTube and Facebook, Jeremy, about the starts and Tom Pidcock. He does seem that he's playing a little bit of catch up sometimes from the starts, but that's, as we see Kurt in the bottom of your picture, Ellie just goes through the line, but that's something again that just it's something that the likes of Kurt Bogarts and Sean Kelly, who's been helping the team as well, that's the sort of thing that they can help Tom with for next season.
Definitely. I think that there is, signing a sponsor like BMW speaks to the level of their program and to the publicity and to the visibility that they have. I think that there's a really good opportunity to continue to develop the team. And I think those guys see it in Pidcock. You always need a big leader, and he definitely is. He's got the legs to back up everything that he's been doing. So it's cool to see. I think with regards to his starts, I don't think that's necessarily true throughout the entire season. I think that at the end of the season, you're absolutely right. A rider with as much depth as Pidcock has to really, choose to want to be in the races right now. I think mentally he's probably feeling quite fatigued. He came off that injury after just before the Road World Championships, being in his home country, really wanted to perform, put in a huge training block to be able to come back to that. Ends up on the podium there, I believe, or really close to it for the sprint finish, almost putting it putting them on the map, really just trying to do his best to be a solid rider week in and week out throughout the cross season. Coming off that injury, it's a lot to ask for him to be still ripping it up middle of February, but he said he'd do these races and he wants to make sure that he represents for his sponsors, so he's out here doing it, and that's very commendable. If he decides that he wants to take the first 20 minutes of the race to warm up before he solidifies it and goes after it, maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. It's a gamble, but you also have to, like I said before, you do have to pick and choose your spots, and he's still riding his best season as an elite period this year. So it's all in stride. He has to continue to remember that. And it's nothing, like I said in the women's race, none of this happens overnight. It's a culmination of a lot of things and lots of years of experience to be the best in the world.
It is indeed. And Tom Pidcock, just to give you an idea, if you're not in Great Britain, if you're not in the UK, there's an article in the Guardian newspaper online today about Tom Pidcock and the reaction to that attack that he put in the World Championships, where he rode to second place, and really putting cyclocross on the map in his home nation as well. So that when you start to get cyclocross articles in the mainstream press, that's what makes a difference in the country. We've had the BBC, the national broadcasters, when we've had really, really muddy days, and they put it in the sports broadcast just from a oh, look at the mud, blah blah blah. When they start to take this sport seriously, that's what Tom Pidcock's doing, and he's putting cyclocross on the map. It is in his home country, closes the gap down just 2 seconds, pulled back over Ellie Isabit there. I just want to give a shout out to Anya, who's watching today. It's her 27th birthday today. Happy birthday, Anya. Thanks for watching us on your birthday.
That's right. Happy birthday from the United States, as we see this beautiful windmill here that's made this course so iconic and so many great things to say about it from all the riders over the last couple of years here. You see Toon Aerts really pushing the pace on that, definitely riding that to the limits, having that #1 on his back, just signifying that he's #1 in the UCI rankings currently, which is definitely not something to shake a stick at. That's a very prestigious title to hold. To be first in the UCI rankings shows a great show of consistency over a year-long period. But here it is, Tom Pidcock representing the UK and that national champs jersey as an elite rider, coming off, throwing that bike up on his shoulder as he ascends this steep embankment, giving that Swiss cyclocross nod here, taking those big steps, putting his fingers down to try to just make sure that he's counterbalancing, with Toon Aerts behind in third. You see down in the bottom left-hand corner in the Wedstrada, that means third in this cyclocross race here today.
Aidan Brennan having a laugh at the Guardian, saying mainstream media. Come on, Aidan. If cyclocross is being reported in things like the Guardian or stuff like that, that's different. I just mean the non-cycling press. So, yeah, you know what I mean.
I don't even know what the Guardian is.
Yeah, it's a newspaper. We have many. They're not all great. They're not all there. Most of them aren't. But I just mean being reported. WJ Racing, thanks for your shout out. BMW Belgium it is that have sponsored Trinity, which is great. So
awesome.
Thanks to all of you for checking in. Thanks for all your chat, keeping us on board here. Your leader, if you're just tuning in, Ellie Isabit from Poel Sausen Bingo, just building a steady advantage. 27 seconds at the end of lap 4:25. It was 19 after lap 3. Pidcock pulled back 2 seconds last lap. We'll see what the gap is. We'll put a little bit of a clock on this one as we go on here. And Toon Aerts still sitting in third place here.
Definitely, as you see there, it was again Sven Nys just in that corner, just giving a little bit of information to Aerts, trying to tell him. I mean, again, Aerts yesterday saying, I think he said, I had been on the podium 29 times throughout the season already. So that is a lot of times on the podium, showing a lot of consistency here, able to make sure that he puts the Trek Telenet Balawaza program up on the blocks, making sure that he's consistent throughout the year. We saw some great battles with him from Namur, being one that I will always stick out in my mind. Unfortunately, he went down there, broke those ribs, but Marty, think about it. I don't know if he broke or fractured or cracked. I'm not sure, but he had such a hard fall. Definitely broken bones were reported, and able to come back from that. Race strong races throughout January at the World Championships, and now into the final parts of this season, still showing a ton of consistency and being up there at the front. I mean, I take my hat off to him because it really is hard to be good all year long. His level's super high. When we chatted with him on the podcast, I can tell how serious he takes it as you see Iserbit wrestle that bike up that steep section. Aerts is one of the highest level of professionals at the moment. He takes it very seriously. He's absolutely whittled down every single little thing that he needs to do, and he, as they would say in Belgium, lives for it.
He does indeed. And a lot of these riders will now go away, have a little bit of a break before they get on to the second part of the program. Pidcock can just have a glance into the eye, to the face there of Ethias a bit. A lot of riders, the Van der Poels, the Pidcocks, all these riders that now multidisciplining, kind of with the way in professional women's cycling, the likes of Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, Marianne Vos, all those sort of riders that have multi-disciplined across various the roads. Even Marianne Vos on the track as well, as Ethias a bit goes through at the end of there. 42.04 is the gap. Back now to Laurence Swake, lap 7 of 8 we are on now. We'll see what the time gap is when we go through the line. The clock is ticking as Tom Pidcock now just sees the bricks ahead of him and onto that start-finish. I think the gap has gone out. Ethias a bit, I think, has seen that Pidcock is gradually closing that gap up to him and has accelerated yet again. The gap now goes out over the 30 seconds. Now back to Tom Pidcock, 35 seconds. So Ethias a bit, big acceleration on that lap.
Absolutely, definitely. We're seeing that, again, these riders yesterday feeling the effects of their race yesterday a little bit. You see there, Laurence Swake just had a little bit of a different tempo than the other day, getting Mario de Klerk, the manager of the Bingo squad there down in the corner, getting a question about what's happening today from Ili Iserbit. He had expected yesterday Ili Iserbit and Laurence Swake to go head to head as they went for that overall in the Super Prestige. Today, a different affair. Iserbit deciding, I'm definitely going to lay down the power on this course. Suits him so well.
It does indeed. So 35 to Pidcock, 44 to Aerts. Iserbit looking phenomenal at the front of this one. Tom Meyusen would cross the line next for in 6th. We'll see if they go back and show us how that order is looking down through the rest of the top 10. For Poel Sausenbingo, there's his team manager, Mario de Klerk, in the bottom of your picture. Good move here. Welcome. If you're just tuning in, you wonder if you're tuning in for the first time because of the platforms that we broadcast here on GCN Racing. If you're watching for the first time, welcome to cyclocross. Welcome to our beautiful sport. Coming towards the end of the season, this is the 8th round of the Ethias Cross Series in Hulst. No general classification to ride for, but some epic racing that we've had so far this season. 2 riders that have done battle as under 23s for many years. Tom Pidcock and Ethias a bit. Great to see them locking horns in the elite level of cyclocross now so far this winter. Poel Sausenbingo, Trinity Racing. So sure, if you want to get involved with a team, that would be a good international team to get involved with. I'm sure you can hook up with them. Give me a shout. I'll hook you up with this team if you want to get involved with that one. Aerts, Toon Aerts behind Tom Pidcock. The gap you can see just gets foreshortened very slightly by that angle. Let's get a little bit of a replay here. Ethias a bit, as you can see the back wheel just bouncing up that section. Let's have a look at the bottom of this one. He's had a bit of a 2-wheel drift going on through that at various points. Look at that, as Jeremy describes that, bending the tape.
Definitely bending the tape, Marty. This race next year looking to be a World Cup, I've been told, and that's going to be interesting to see this race on the World Cup circuit. Not surprised, all the riders have given such high praise to this track. They really enjoy the features. They enjoy the flow. It would be cool to see what the organizers do. Obviously, the iconic windmill there, making for some beautiful stuff. I think having a World Cup here, this definitely looks like a World Cup level venue with all of the off-camera, the flow sections, the big start-finish area. Obviously we've got some funky weather today, but that doesn't mean that the course isn't capable. It's definitely totally beautiful. All these cobbles and all of the cool things that make this track what it is, especially when it's muddy out. This is a proper cyclocross race.
It is indeed. You can see the wind buffeting the flags around the course. Ellies a bit when he comes around at the end of this lap is going to get the bell. And good to see him finishing his season so strongly. If you saw our little replay as Adrie van der Poel in the bottom of your picture. David van der Poel, of course, riding today. Mathieu van der Poel about to start his road season. And we're interested to see what he can do in the classics. This will be Eliasabeth's third victory of 2020. Won the World Cup in Nome. What a great battle Nome was between him and this man here, Toon Aerts. There was a ferocious battle between those two in that that Nome World Cup. That was again. That was. I think that's got to be one of my races of the year. That battle on that course in France.
Absolutely, absolutely. That was a beautiful day out there. He definitely able to take that win. I think he surprised himself with that. It was a good course, though. Again, like I said, Marty, those steep embankments that he was able to ride up, I think really benefited him over in Nome. So he's got a very unique skill set, and I think it does really play to his strengths when he's able to use that big power that he holds. I think he's got an advantage over some of the other riders. Technically, he's not too shabby either, if you know what I'm saying.
In addition to his victories, this man has been on the podium 13 times in the course of this winter's season. And in his victories, he won in Kruijbeek. Of course, after his Iowa City and Waterloo victories, came back to Europe. He won in Kruijbeek, he won in Heijden, he won in Bern, he's won in Kavere, he won in Koppenberg, and then Nome and Maldegem. Those are his victories, and then 13 podiums, I think, from counting those up so far this winter. That's quite a first proper elite season, because although he's dipped in and out as Tom Pidcock has, this is his first real big elite season.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I remember racing with him at the Iowa World Cup maybe 2 years ago, racing for somewhere around 20th place as he struggles up. Definitely the fatigue of this race coming in, settling into the legs. But definitely he's always been a very strong competitor. Unfortunately, able to hold it there together for, looks like maybe Michael Van Tornhout there.
Ryan Camp there.
Oh, Ryan Camp, you're right, with the World Under 23 World Champ edition Ridley, super cool bike. Check that out over on his Instagram if you want to see some pictures of that. Able to save it though, but that definitely for the pro riders, even that descent at that speed, Marty's still throwing them for a little bit of a loop. But I was just going to say that Iserbit has really come up in the last couple of years. You know, you start to see the best under 23 riders are able, lap times wise, able to ride in the top 10 of the elite race. If you look at a race like, let's say Coxide, or you look at a race like, Zolder, you see these lap times where the under 23 riders are really at the top level. They're able to easily slice into the top 10 of the elite race. So you wonder, well, what happens when you put them all together? It's, the elite riders end up doing a bigger season. There's a lot more that goes into it. The under 23 riders typically get to pick and choose the races that they want to compete in with the elites especially, but they do have their separate designation because not everyone is Lars van der Haar or Mathieu van der Poel. They don't always forego their time in the under 23s and go straight to the pros. So when you see a rider like Pidcock, like Van der Poel, like Lars van der Haar, he was one of the first riders to do that. They skip the under 23s. They give up their opportunity to race in them, and they go straight to the elites. It's not always, but every once in a while you see a rider that's developed that quickly. Iserbit, one of the riders that kind of stayed somewhere in the middle, but like you said, having an incredible first season technically as an elite, taking wins from start to finish.
So looking at that, so Elisabeth's last lap was 7 minutes and 3 seconds. He's been lapping pretty consistently so far now. 38 seconds back to Tom Pidcock, 48 seconds back to Toon Aerts. So that's your order here. Great to see this man finishing his season so well, on such great form after starting it spectacularly over in the USA. And he's looking good. And I think that's, again, when you look at cyclocross, Jeremy, and you look at the different statures of riders like Elisabeth, Tom Pidcock, then you go to the likes of Laurent Swake and Toon Aerts.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys are the best at the moment. These guys have got everything. They have all the best equipment. They've got all the best support. They really do put on a show week in and week out. And it's all the travel, Marty, that goes into getting all their equipment over to the U.S., coming back to Europe, having all that support, everything that they need to be able to race week in and week out.
Yes, indeed. You can see the wind whipping across the course today. Elias a bit on his last lap. As here we go, kicks on here for the Poel 1000 bingo team. The wind has given us some epic conditions. If you weren't with us for the elite women's race, we had a tree down before the elite women's race. That delayed that by 15 minutes, so it has kind of had a bit of a knock-on effect through the course of the afternoon, but it has given us two really exciting races today as Isabit goes under the windmill, which isn't moving today, so great to see a shot of the windmill. Such a great course. This, Jeremy, will make a really, really exciting World Cup next winter.
Absolutely, yeah. Coming in, I think it's going to be on January 3rd, so just after the GP Svednice. This will come in to the Christmas period, technically, so it'll be a really good race. That time of the year with so many people off from work, able to come out in a very centrally located place in such a beautiful new venue. I think that this will be a big hit for everyone next year when it does become a World Cup venue. You see Isabit now throwing his bike up onto his shoulder, coming through, gonna put that bike right down, quickly remount right back on, able to hit this every single time consistently, Marty.
It carried really good speed into the bottom of that bank as well. You could just see how much he was trying to ride as close and high up that bank as he could. Aerts on your descent where you saw Ryan Camp coming to a halt on the padding at the side there. Just before that, the under-23 world champ, former champ here, just through that little section there onto the off camber, little dab with the right foot as he goes across the bridge. As they really have built a great course here. The history of this race goes back to 2017, and Mathieu van der Poel has won it every year up until this one. So Elias is going to add his name to that as he just tries to get himself over the top of that bank. And that adds it to that one. He was 5th here a year ago.
As he comes through this little sandy section here, as you see some riders jumping across the course. This race just outside of Belgium, not far north, I would say just a little bit north and off to the side of Ghent in Hulst. It'll be a good little transition for these riders to be able to come over as they zip down this. I was saying, Marty, earlier in the day, we were talking about how these races are going to consolidate into the World Cup and these other ones. This is exactly what I mean by it's a new race, doesn't have an exorbitant amount of history. It started in 2017, but because it's a good event, because it's a good course, the riders really enjoy the technical bits and the challenges that it presents. This course has been selected to be a World Cup, which I think is, that speaks to exactly what I was saying about good events. Good races are going to continue to be strong, whether they're part of one series or another. This race, part of the Ethias Cross, which doesn't have an overall, it's a collection of races that brings the professionalism and the organization of a big series, but doesn't have the overall point structure and so on. So it's not an official series, but but being part of next year's World Cup, that's going to change everything for these guys and really solidify them on the international calendar as one of the classics of the year.
It is indeed. Ellie's a bit over the planks for the final time and up this climb and then into the bank over the top of that bridge there for the Poel 1000. Big old man looked great in Maldegem, the race that comes after the World Championships. Looking good again today is Isabit. And is going to finish his season in fine fashion. This will give him a boost going into his off season.
Absolutely. I love this section.
Looking forward. Go on.
Sorry, I love this section here, Marty, where they come through here and then it just flows right after this. You use this up here, comes into this 180. This is the final last quarter of this course, but then through here they come down and then you just carve it up. He gets his weight back, looks down, and now he just flows through this whole section, almost no pedaling as he comes into this area right up through here, Marty.
You can hear the announcers at the line, and Eli Isabit is going to take yet another victory this season, steadily building his advantage over the course of this race from when he went clear. He's going to go from the grass here on to the home straight. He has plenty of time to celebrate. High fives the crowd all the way in. Eli Isabit sits up and salutes the crowd, takes another victory. Happy days for the Poel's 1000 bingo rider. That's your winner home. Tom Pidcock should be the next rider that we see. Toon Aerts just makes light work of that bank. Still sitting here in third place is Ellie's girlfriend, who the cameras always like to concentrate on as he comes in towards the finish. Let's go back to the racing. Tom Pidcock looks around at just to see where Toon Aerts is. This is Pidcock's final race of the season. Trinity Racing, a great year that they have had. The British Elite Champion, a silver medal in the World Championship. Tom Pidcock finishes off here in Hulst with a second place.
Absolutely, a nice way to finish off the season, and here it is, Toon Aerts coming in for third place, repping that #1, giving some fives to the crowd. Definitely happy with that result, able to put himself up on the podium today. Van der Haar coming in for a strong fourth place finish. He'll be happy with that.
He will indeed. Lars Van der Haar had a good day yesterday. Van der Haar has finished the season strongly as well. Here comes Laurent Sweik, who looks like it's going to come in fifth place. They're going to interview Ellie. We haven't been getting the audio on the interviews. We'll hear out if we do manage to get that one. Laurent Sweik, what a great season the Belgian champion has had. It looks like Jens Adams is that, just flashed around the corner. Yes, it is. Jens Adams is going to come home here for 6th today.
Good result for Jens Adams.
And next rider is Dan Suter, comes in here, just ahead of Tom Meyusen, just faded a little bit. Tom Meyusen, I don't think we're getting the audio on Ellie's interview here. No, we'll stay with the shots of the finish line because they're all coming in here. So Corné van Kessel comes in for 9th. David van der Poel comes in next. They're going to go backwards and forwards. So if you're happy to stick with pictures, we'll stay with the riders coming in. Hopefully we can get an idea of where everyone is. Jim Arnouts is going to come in for 11th. So Jim Arnouts there just comes home in 11th place for Telenet Baloise. And this man, the man in black, what a day for Mies Hendricks. Mies Hendricks comes in 12th place. That's what I like, Jeremy, seeing a rider that we haven't seen before.
No, absolutely, very cool. I look forward to learning more about that rider and talking about him with everybody as he continues his come up. It's a nice time to be making the front, making the coverage, so that we can learn a little bit more about him for next time and next year.
Yeah, definitely. And Eli Isabit, the rider, just being interviewed. The cameras do just flash backwards and forwards, so we'll see where some of our other riders are. Stay with us for the podiums if you want to stick with us for that one. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up on our live broadcast. Got to give a shout out before we go as well. Big luck out to Ollie this week, our GCN presenter, who's going for his hour record attempt this week is Ollie. Unfortunately, not getting Tom Pidcock's interview. We're not getting those, so they're going to stick with. There you have it. Good day's racing. Eli Isabit, their well-deserved winner there, Jeremy. That was a good performance in what was very, very testing conditions here in Hulst.
Absolutely, absolutely. Really good race from him overall. Like I said, those big, powerful sections, he was just able to use them to his advantage and really take control of the race from the start. Saw an opportunity there where Pidcock wasn't quite in the picture yet. He had to jump forward to that group to be able to get there. And then after he made it to that group, he was able to move forward. It was good tactics by Iserbyt to come through, to know that his moment was then, and to take control of the race from the beginning. He's able to do it, take a nice victory with a big margin today. I'm sure he's going to be very happy when he goes home tonight.
Yeah, the other rider that's got to be happy with that today, finishing his season here in Hulst, is Tom Pidcock from Trinity Racing. And the likes of Tom and Felipe that we talk about, Felipe Aerts from Spain, it has always been such a, for many years now, very much a Belgian and Dutch dominated sport over the, through my life of cyclocross, the riders from the Czech Republic, the Czech riders, and also the Swiss riders were always very, very strong. But it's nice to see some new flags starting to get into that, break into that top 10. It's only got to be good for the sport of cross.
Absolutely. I mean, home is home. You can never take yourself out of where you call home. I mean, that's the truth. So these riders, I'm sure, enjoy and love racing on their home soil. I'm sure they enjoy the fans and all of the great things that they are able to bring to their local communities. But truthfully, top racing of cyclocross is held in Belgium and the Netherlands at the moment. And so, yeah, we visit these other places, but the show has to go on in those places because that's where it's biggest. So, yeah, it's awesome to be able to see them have success, to be able to bring it to the other traditional European cyclocross countries and really give a good hard swing at trying to change up the landscape of the top of the sport and the nationalities that are represented.
A great day's racing. Let's remind ourselves of what went down today in our elite men's race. Let's have a look at our highlights of the elite men. There's your start. Pidcock and Aerts right on the extreme right of the start. Great line that they had. Lars van der Haar, Laurens Sweeck, Iserbyt, all very much up towards the front. Corne van Kessel got a great start. Really wrestled his way through there at the start.
Definitely did. Showed a great bit of form here at the beginning. Able to take that first 15 minutes, 20 minutes racing in the front there. Definitely probably feeling the effects of a long season, not as strong as he was in the beginning, but easily able to take out and set a very strong tempo for the first half. But it was Iserbyt that was just hanging back, able to take over the front and then set consecutive lap times of 7:03. So that was very, very fast considering the first opening lap was more like 7:15, 7:20. So to be able to take 15 seconds off that consecutively lap after lap shows just where Iserbyt's form is at the end of the season as he comes through, jumping the barriers. Van der Haar, boom, boom, coming through. Laurens Sweeck also. Tom Mathieu able to make a challenge for the front and really lead up that chase for the middle part of the race, Marty.
It was nice to see Tom Mathieu back at the front, but Eli Iserbyt, once he had the front, once he had that gap, he was never going to relinquish it and kicked on there. This was lap 3 of 8. Where he went off, and at the end of lap 3 is 19 seconds was the gap back to that chasing group. On lap 5 that had grown to 25 seconds, and then again he put the hammer down. It was Pidcock and Toon that were locked in a battle for second and third spot on the podium. The final lap here, lap 8 of 8 today for the pals. 1,000 bingo man makes it 2 from the last 2 here in the Ethias series. He won in Maldehem, and he wins here in Hulst. So a good day out for him. Pidcock crosses the line in that British Champions jersey for Trinity Racing to take second spot in what is his final race of the season. Toon comes in for third place. Don't forget, it's not our last day here on cyclocross here on GCN Racing. We have the Recht of it from Leuven next week, next Saturday. So make sure you subscribe, hit that bell icon, and give us a thumbs up for today as well. So hit your reminder on that one for next Saturday. That will be our final race of the season. Toon he was looking a great third spot today. There's going to be quite a few riders that are looking forward to a bit of a holiday after the end of these last couple of races here. I think.
I think so, and not just a training camp holiday, one where they don't bring their bikes. So I think all of their significant others and family are going to be happy to just not be at a cyclocross race on the weekend after next weekend for sure.
Yeah, we see so many of the families. It is a big support network for these riders out and about. Don't forget as well, if you want to get involved in cyclocross, drop us a line here at GCN. If you various countries, got so many of you watching all over the world, which is great. I love how we've built a cyclocross community. If you're in a country where cyclocross, you don't know where it is, or it's not popular, or you need help, you want to get it going, drop us a line here, or get me on Twitter at MartyMacTV, and you can find Jeremy over on your socials as well. Your social medias, Jeremy?
Is at JPOWS on Instagram, and just my name, Jeremy Powers, over on Twitter. So definitely shoot a line if you've got any questions, or if you want to interact. I'm always checking, and yeah, would love to chat with you.
Yeah, we'd love to hear from you. So we're always here. We love our cross. If you don't want to know what happened in the elite women's race, we're going to have a look back at all the highlights of today's racing, what has been an epic day's racing here in Hulst. If you don't want to know what happened in the elite women's race, if you want to watch that a little bit later on, you can look away in 3, 2, 1. The 8th and final race in the Ethias series here in Hulst. No general classification to fight for, but there's an epic race that will be part of the World Cup come next season. It was Eva Lechner that led off the Italian national champion Inge van der Heijden, getting a great start. Anneke, Celine Del Carmen, Alvarado all up there on the opening lap. Annemarie Hulst, who's had a great season. It was Shirin van Anrooy as well that was also getting into the mix. Celine Del Carmen, Alvarado was looking to double up in this weekend's racing. Started to make a little bit of a move. She was joined at the front by arguably her biggest rival this season in Annemarie Hulst. And while behind, it was Anneke that was chasing for Experza. This bank would come in to play throughout the day's action. On lap 3 of 5, the duo battling winds in excess of 50 kilometers an hour. Denise Betzemer of Palshausen Bingo had overhauled Anneke and was chasing hard in 3rd place. She would get close, but not close enough. The bank again played out. A mistake, a small error by Annemarie Hulst gave the front to Alvarado, who kicked on into the home straight. It was another victory in what has been a tremendous season for the Alpecin Phoenix rider. Zipped up the skin suit, the consummate professional. Hulst came across the line, gave her a sporting pat on the back and a big smile. What a rivalry they have had this season. Denise Betzemer across the line for 3rd place on the podium. Onto the elite men, Felipe Aerts and Tom Pidcock both getting front row starts, along with Laurens Sweeck, Lars van der Haar, Ellie Isabit. It was Corne van Kessel, though, of Toon cyclo-cross that wrestled his way through to the front and led out, but didn't quite have the endurance to hold it all the way to the finish. He was a leading Belgian champion, Laurens Sweeck, who had sewn up the Telenet Super Prestige Series the day before. Lars van der Haar in 3rd at this stage, who had played in 2nd a year ago behind Mathieu van der Poel. On the epic descent, Ellie Isabit, though, took off on his own, and from this point, with Tom Pidcock chasing to get back into the group, he was looking to double up, having taken the last race in Maldegem. Van der Haar was leading the chasing group. Good to see Tom Meyusen back in the mix for Group Hens Mass Containers. Ryan Camp, Jim Arnouts, both in that chasing group at this point. On to lap 3 of 8, Isabit was holding a gap of 19 seconds over the chasers. He would just extend this lead and keep going as the race got on. On lap 5 of 8, it was up to 25 seconds. Pidcock and Aerts were locked in a battle for the 2nd and 3rd spots on the podium. Pidcock, though, would manage to distance himself from Toon Aerts. The final lap, though, Ellie Isabit was able to take his time and enjoy his moment. as he rode in to the finish for yet another victory this season. He has had a phenomenal start to 2020 and ends his 2019-2020 season in fine fashion. Tom Pidcock crosses the line for second place for Trinity Racing, while behind Toon Aerts crossed the line in third.
A great day of racing.
There. It was
an
phenomenal
great
day's
day of
racing.
Yep, another good one. This is a big race for the future and one that the riders have really enjoyed. I have to say, with the epic wins and everything that went into today's race, with the delay and everything like that. There he is, the British national champion Tom Pidcock, the former Belgian national champion there, Toon Aerts in third place. Pidcock taking a couple of handshakes there from the organization as he sits up onto the podium, and everyone is there to see their favorite riders and to give them a good clap as they start to turn out the end of their season.
There you have it. Toon Aerts, the wind still whipping across the course. You can see they've got rid of most of the backdrops. And there he is, your winner. On to the podium. Ethias from Poel, Sousen, Bingo. Handshakes to the second and third spots on the podium. There you have it. Here in Hulst. What a great course, a great addition to the season this course has been. And Jeremy, it delivers again. Great racing we've had today.
Absolutely. As you can see, they're all a little bit nervous. As you can see, the covering that's above the riders to keep the wind and the rain. Eastervik gets a nice little statue there from one of the townspeople, and a nice check there also for winning today in Hulst at the Ethias Cross. So very cool to see this organization here at this race. They've got a great course, got a great organization, and a lot of very happy people out there today enjoying this event.
Braving the wind, you would say today. It's has it battered the Storm Dennis, if you're not in Europe. It's buffeting us at the moment. We remember are back next week. This is our penultimate race, but there is your podium. Ethias, Aerts and Pidcock have entertained us throughout the season. And we are almost at an end. It's emotional time for us. There's our one of our compatriots over there in the Netherlands. 1 week to go, Jeremy. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling emotional.
No, I'm good. I'm ready. I think everybody is excited for this last race, but also excited to see there is now the spring, the daffodils start coming up, Marty. Things start changing. We all get our vitamin D back, and we start riding our road and our mountain bikes a lot more often. So cyclocross is a thing. It comes and it goes, but it's always nice when it's here. So I've enjoyed so much having this opportunity to call these races and give my insight into it. And I look forward to next weekend and then a break, but then coming back next year for even better and hopefully more in-depth coverage that we can do everything that we can here on GCN.
It is. Thanks a lot for all of you for your company. Thanks. Great to watch all your chat and interaction. Big luck to Ollie this week, our colleague here at GCN, for his attempt on his hour record. We'll keep you up to speed with how he does on that. Have a great day out there. We will be back next week from Jeremy Powers and myself. Bye for now.